Welcome guys again. Welcome you back. So this is the first day for me in this Docker training. Even though technically we have already done the introduction part of the Docker in the last weekend, but that was just a quick overview of why what is actually IIEC Rise and what exactly our vision would be and what is the core reason behind why we are doing this training free of cost and all those kind of aspect we discussed in the last weekend, right? And so highly suggest those guys who join first time with me. I suggest you after this today's training, just go through my introduction part. To you also think about me, what actually I am doing, and why we have this particular vision of making India. And plus, also the last lecture also talk about the how we can install the Docker and what kind of environment we are using here. So for the today's training, I would like to kick start directly into the Docker implement part and how to use Docker in multiple scenario, right? So before I start, um, let me again give you high level brief about what exactly we are doing and some basic protocol for this training and some policies also for this particular training, right? So first of all guys, this training would be more than a 95% hands on, right? This is the first small thing. So give me a minute, let me plug my digital pen. So first of all, this training would be more than a 95% hands-on. This is the first thing. And it is not about the practical or the hands-on part. I worked a lot in this area that I talked about in the last session that we had in the introduction part. But I actually worked purely in Docker, even though I am the core consultant or the integrator on lots of area work in DevOps. And DevOps is a big world altogether. But inside the DevOps world or this umbrella, we have one tool that we used a lot and to solving multiple use cases inside inside the DevOps would be Docker. So Docker would be a one great tool that we use a lot in the DevOps environment, right? So this is one thing. So what is DevOps? It is not exactly the part of this training right now, but as we follow along in the Docker training, you will also get some idea about what is DevOps, right? So somehow we keep on touching some aspects of the DevOps. Maybe by the end of the training, you will have a great idea about the DevOps. Plus, because this training is more about the Dockers or Docker. The main intention was, and the main intention is of mine is to give you the high level idea, or not high level idea, the core idea about where we can leverage the Docker tool or the Docker software in the DevOps world, right? So my point is, guys, this training would be 95% hands on, but but whatever the things I have implemented in multiple organization, right? I believe almost when the Docker launched, from there onwards till today, maybe more than 6 or 7 years, I've worked heavily in this tool and solve multiple use cases for multiple corporate industries, enterprises, from Wells Fargo to JP Morgan, JPMC, Samsung R&D, Cisco, lots of other Wipro, IBM, right? So Bank of America. So multiple organizations have worked from PwC, Deloitte also. Okay, and so I have multiple use cases with me, multiple seniors with me. So if you guys are wanted Docker to be integrated with Jenkins or some CI/CD tools, or you have a use case where you want Jenkins to have a scenario where you want to deploy microservices, and if you have a scenario where you want to use Docker inside the cloud computing, or if you have a scenario to run the entire cloud inside the Docker environment, right? Or if you have a scenario where you can understand how we can use Docker to build our applications, or you want to do some test run inside the Docker, right? So, or maybe if you have a requirement to do your ML ops or AI ops or artificial intelligence, creating the model inside the Docker environment, or you have an requirement to create a message queue from Kafka or RabbitMQ, or maybe if you want to do some analytics using Spark and the Hadoop, right? So all those scenarios I've worked a lot, because if you see my profile, um, I almost work in almost all those technology, and I tested those different scenarios inside the Docker, right? So technically, the way the Docker started is they started just to ship your applications or to build your things. But what I researched, right, almost in all the environment you can use the Docker. Okay, so for me, almost all the different use cases that you have in the industry, right, you can solve with the Docker. Okay, so this is the one thing, right? So but right now, guys, for today I don't want to focus or right now on those use cases, because you might be possibility that you guys are very new in the Docker, okay, and you don't have any knowledge in Docker architecture, Docker vocabulary, Docker basic commands. So my today's agenda would be, I would like to start the thing from very basics, especially for those guys who are very new. Even though you already know the Docker, I have lots of high end internal concepts, a lot of myth about the Docker, some of the core things of the Docker. So I highly encourage you, if even though you are new, you already know the Docker, just go through the lecture, because that will help me to discuss some advanced aspect in the next classes, right? So if you don't understood those myth, or the way I'm going to train you, it will be harder for you guys to sync with me in the next lecture, right? So this training we would like to start from very basics, and my plan is to, from the basics, I would like to move our training to the expert level. Okay, when I say expert, it means almost all the use cases I'll try to discuss. Some of the use cases I try to build in this classroom with the hands-on. So if you stuck some implementation in the real world, in the industry, so you will, by those hands-on, you will get the right solution, what the right way and best practices you can use, right? Plus, because I'm going to touch multiple scenario in all the forms. So when I explaining you the core concepts of the Docker, every time I'll try to touch with some of the use cases. So after having this complete training, you have lots of ideas come in your mind, and maybe something you're doing from some other way, maybe not using Docker, you'll start thinking in the way, okay, now that was a challenge we was always facing. Now let's use Docker for those things, right? So I feel I've seen those things, because I'm the consultant for almost all the biggest technology, or all the biggest industries. Also integrator, architect, lots of profile I've worked in my life. So I've seen those things, right? So if you have the right knowledge of the core concept, rather than just know only the basics, and when I say basics, means with knowing the basics, that has a very high level meaning, right? For example, if you think Docker used for shipping your applications or just for building and testing, it is just a very basic core concept, right? But there's a lot of beyond the imagination thing that you can do with the Docker. Okay, but the main intention, those guys who have gone through my introduction part, I highly encourage, and you can think as a compulsion from my side, do this if you haven't gone through. So there I explain you my motto for this training is not to train you in the Docker. My motto is to you is you guys think as a creator. when I say creator, I'll try to touch some of the internal aspects of the Docker, how it has been built, and if you have those that particular deep dive knowledge, right, in the Docker, you start thinking like a creator. I'm talking about I'm talking about to create some your own tool like Docker. Okay, so that was my intention. um, if you want, after this training we'll create a separate group and we'll start doing brainstorming on multiple ideas, and maybe something new will create from this work, because right now I believe we have 5,000 or 6,000 plus corporate guys worked almost in all the domains we have, right? And 500 plus industry has been participated in this particular training. Whatever the core company name you guys know, from Google to Microsoft to LinkedIn, Facebook, GE, Deloitte, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Accenture, right? All the company, whatever you guys know, they are professionals from their different teams. From all the teams has been part of this training, so it is a great platform, great training, because I've never seen this kind of training where the biggest crowd of the world is there in the live training that we have, right? And one more thing, guys, this is not a recorded class. I am there live, so you can also interact with me. So the idea would be, when I start this training, so we'll do a small break for Q&A. So that time I'll start my chat box and you can start putting the queries, right? So it's a live classroom training. This is one thing. I mean, classroom kind of training, you can think in this way. But yeah, for before I start this training, I just not require 2 more minutes to sync some of the protocol for this training. The one small protocol, guys, that I suggest you follow with me, when I explaining you concepts, when I doing some hands-on, some practical, right? I suggest don't do with me. Just try to focus. Try to focus on how I'm writing the command, what is the use case I'm trying to discuss over there, right? So just focus on those part, because whatever I'm doing here, I'll put on this Google Drive that I already share with you. I will again share with you this Google Drive, so you won't miss anything. This is one thing. Okay, second thing, after every particular topic, we will do a small Q&A. At the time of Q&A, if you have a query, you can ask me. If you don't have a query, so whatever concept we have discussed, you can start doing practical, or after the training also, because this training goes like 3 to 4 hours on weekend. So after the training, we have complete week, you can do those hands-on. Okay, so this is one thing. Second thing, guys, I highly recommend, if I open the Q&A, just ask me the query whatever we have discussed till yet. Okay, that makes more sense, so everybody can engage, rather than we start discussing about ALK or maybe Hadoop or maybe Spark, maybe other cloud, right? Maybe with other things that doesn't make sense right now. Okay, but yeah, when the respective topic come up, when we start discussing some related to maybe analytics on the Docker, that time you can ask me those things, right? So I this is the one small thing I recommend. And one more thing I recommend, uh, uh, all because right now, guys, in this training, in total number of registration from the corporate world, that we has created a separate campaign for, is, I believe, right now is 6,000 plus. Okay, last weekend it was 5,000 plus, but now it's 6,000 plus. And we have also opened this training for the pursuing student, because my main motto is to groom the engineering student or the pursuing student to showcase what kind of use case industries are looking for and what kind of tools they are using, right? So is also open for pursuing student, and I also running one separate campaign for the pursuing student, where we have 18,000 plus in students are learning under me with multiple technologies. So these students all also been open for this training. Okay, so a lot of mixed mind we have. So I'll try to I created the training in this way. So if you are corporate guys already working in Docker, you are new in the corporate, multiple domains, maybe DevOps engineer, maybe cloud engineer, maybe software engineer, testing guys, whatever the domain would be. Okay, or maybe you're the pursuing student, so everybody will benefited from this training, the way I created the content in this way. So again, we'll start from very basics till the advanced. But yeah, one small thing, we had created a separate group, so channel actually, channel in a Telegram. So Telegram is an app. So we have created a channel just for the engineering student and the for the corporate. Okay, so what I'm saying, guys, or any of the announcement that we have about the session or other things, or maybe this session is recorded, so we will also share you the recording part. But I suggest, rather than just learn from the recording, I always suggest to come in the live session, because it give you discipline. Means if you think we learn afterwards, sometime we miss, right? But if you think the class is on live, I am there, Vimal is there, so it's give you a different feeling altogether, to learn in the live training. Plus, because this is live training, so Q&A also open. So if you have your own queries, you can ask me. But in the recorded, you can't go for those, right? So, but I suggest those guys who are not yet joined the channel, we have already mailed you. Right? Just check your mail from IIC Rise, from Preeti has mailed you, right, from the IIC Rise, and join those private channel. And understand the one thing, guys, from IIC Rise, we have only one private official channel. If you search something and you find some other channel, sometime I've seen some spam is going on. All right, so that is not our official channel. So we have mailed you, we provide you link, that is the only official channel from our side. We have separate for pursuing student, and we have separate for the corporate guys. So those guys who have not joined, because I've seen some 1200 plus already joined, and some 11,000 plus already joined. But those guys who are not yet joined, please join quicker, because further announcement will do there. And one more last small thing before we jump to this today's training, is we also have created a separate group. Okay, for example, 6,000 plus professionals we have. So we have lots of IIEC volunteers, or I say IIEC Docker technical volunteers. They already know lots of things, they already know lots of things about Docker. So these volunteers, we have created a separate group, right? For example, from this 6,000, right, we get 50 student 50 candidates in one group. Okay, and this group we assign one volunteer from our side. So like this, you can think lots of groups we have created, and the use of this group is to solve your queries. So during this training, if you feel you have some queries, you can also put in the group. If the volunteer normally they active there, so they will answer your query. Or during this week also, when you're doing this practice, right, if you stuck something in the Docker installation, in Docker things or Docker commands, whatever we are learning, you can put your query. And I highly suggest put only those query that is relevant to our training, whatever we discuss in this training. So try to ask, so other guys can also participate. So those guys from the corporate or from the students, those who are not the part of their group, so we mailed you already, or lots of volunteers have pinged you in your mail or WhatsApp or SMS. So whatever link they are providing, that would be our official volunteer. Please join their group, right? Otherwise, if you don't have any channel name with you, you don't have any group allocated, so check your mail. Maybe sometime your mail goes to promotion, or maybe sometimes spam also. Check your mail, and where we provided some list of the contacts, right, where you can contact. They will help you how to join the channel and the group, right? So do those things, right? So it will be we have created just so your query will be faster solved. So we have a huge team working for this campaign, so that everybody is benefited, right? So that's all, guys. So let's directly jump to the hands-on on practical part of this training. So technically, this is my base system Windows, and I have launched one operating system on the top of Windows using VirtualBox. That is Red Hat 8, RHL 8. I says guys, you also do this practical on the top of Red Hat 8 only, so you can sync with me. You can use any other operating system also, but I suggest use Red Hat 8, because lots of practical I would like to do would have some Red Hat specific commands, so you won't able to sync it. Right, even though you can run Docker in Windows or Mac or Ubuntu also, other platform also, but I suggest for initial, for some time, to sync with me, use your base operating system. Okay, use your base operating system, where we do our Docker practical would be RHEL 8. Okay, and those guys who don't know how to install RHL 8, we have share you one YouTube link of my recorded video. You can go through video, it will help you how to install Red Hat 8. So guys, technically in the last class we have discussed Docker is a tool, it is a software, it is a software. Okay, so because it is software, we require operating system to install it, so we use Red Hat 8, and we already installed Docker on the top of Red Hat 8. But the version that we use for installing the Docker is CE, is a community edition. And the great thing guys, one interesting hack I showed you in the last introduction part, typically Red Hat 8 doesn't support community edition. Okay, they support enterprise edition. Okay, but it is you can go for trial license, but it come with license. Okay, so one hack I showed you how to install community edition on the top of Red Hat 8. So that was, we have successfully installed. So right now guys, I believe everybody has installed the Docker on the top of your Red Hat 8. Okay, this part is done. Even though if you don't haven't installed, just please go through the video, understand the concept, and after the video or today's class, you can do this practical, right? So this setup we already have. So this is my Red Hat 8. So let me log in. And guys, again suggesting you have to log in with a root account. Root is the administrator of your Red Hat Linux. Okay, so this is Red Hat 8, and let me show you in my system Docker is successfully installed. Okay, and because it is a software, so if you want to use Docker, if you want to use Docker, you have to start its services. So Docker also have their own services, so you have to start the services of the Docker if you want to use it, right? So right now, let me open the terminal. So guys, what is actual use case of the Docker? We haven't started. What is the actual architecture of the Docker? We haven't started. We will go slowly. Don't worry. Each and every aspect of Docker you will learn in this training. But let me go slowly. So just first you should feel the Docker commands. You should know some vocabulary. Then if we start discussing some great use cases what Docker solve, that makes more sense, right? So right now guys, if you want to see does the Docker services does Docker install or not, you can use this command to verify. So in my system, Docker community edition has been installed with version 18 something. Even though in the market we already have 19 version also, but I feel 18.0.9 is more stable version, so I'm using this one of the great updated or new version, but yeah, it is more stable, right? So I'm using this version. Okay, and if you want to see the Docker services running or not, you can use the status command, systemctl status. This command shows that it is inactive or dead. Okay, but if you want to start the Docker services, you can use the start command. But the start command in Red Hat, it start the Docker in the current time or the run time, but after a system reboot, right, it again stops. Okay, so but if you want to see the status again, you can see now a Docker, it is running right now, but again if you restart the system, it stops because it is written disabled here. Okay, so if your requirement is you after every reboot your Docker automatically starts, so you can use one command. But before this, let me share these command. Okay, so you can use the command called enable. So enable makes your Docker services permanent enable. So every reboot you do, it won't stop the Docker. So every reboot at the time of booting, it start the Docker for you. You can see the enable keyword here. Okay, so this is one small thing. So in my case, Docker is running. And after Docker run, you can run all the Docker commands, right? For example, let me run the command called Docker info. So if you want to see the detailed information about the Docker that is running in your operating system, you can use Docker info command to see it. Okay, so if I hit enter, it shows you lots of information. So as we move forward, right, we can understand all those things: what is runc, what is init binary, all those concept, almost everything will discuss. But what this command shows, that we have running with version 1809. This is one small thing. Second, it is having the license called community edition or engine they are using. Okay, next thing, they are running Docker is running on the top of Red Hat 8. Okay, plus some more information they are having, so we keep on discussing in some time. Okay, this one thing. Now guys, before I go for the next command or next things, let me give you very basic a great use case of the Docker. Okay, from there we would like to start some more things about the commands in the Docker, right? So so let me discuss some more thing about the Docker, right? But before this, let me explain one very basic thing, guys. uh, if you talk about any corporate, any industries, especially those who are purely work or rely on some applications. Okay, when I say application, it means software. So when you say software, application is one the same thing. Okay, so technically, if you talk about any company who is product based, or any company, even though they are not product based, everybody running their business, and they are using some kind of application, and lots of applications they are using, right? For example, let's take a very simple example of Facebook. So Facebook website that you have is what? Facebook app, right? Either you say Facebook app, or you can say the Facebook software. But technically, what is app? Internally, app is one kind of program. But what is program is something, some kind of code, right? But if you want to use a application or the software, you have to run the program. And when you run the program, it will load on the RAM, and then this program become a process. Okay, so whatever the code you have, the till the time your code is reside inside your storage, inside your hard disk, right? Hard disk is also known as technically storage, right? When you run it, it become process, and when the process, it load on the RAM. So when it load on the RAM, it become process, right? But technically, what I'm trying to tell you guys here, if you want to run any, if you want to put any code or program, you can put in your pen drive also. But if you want to run a program, because without running the program, we can't use the application. Okay, for example, this is your website. If you don't run your website, or you don't put your website in the web server, right, you won't able to use it, client won't able to use it. And for running, we have to make a process, we have to run it. Okay, but for running any process, okay, for running any process, we require operating system. Understand one thing, guys. I don't see any scenario where you are running a process and you don't have the operating system, right? If you have any scenario, please let me know. Without having the operating system, you can't run the process. And without running the process, none of the user can interact with the application, right? Okay, for example, right now, right now, this is my program called Notepad. Okay, and as I hit enter, it become process, and it is rest process, and this process is running. That's the reason I can interact. Without running, I can't interact, it's impossible, right? And I'm the user, right? So but I'm interacting with the process, and process running on the top of my operating system. Okay, but if you go for embedded system also, again, they in the embedded system also, they are have some internal firmware level of basic operating system. So everywhere you just go, you have some kind of small or teeny operating system should be there. It might be in the embedded device also, right? So my point is, guys, here, it means, right, in all the domains, from website to mobile app to so testing to software development build, from analytics world, from cloud world, everywhere you go, networking world, SDN world, NFV world, right? Wherever you go, you have some application software, and if you want to use it, you have to run it, and for run, you require the operating system, and that is the only use case why we want the operating system. Okay, now biggest thing is now, okay, if you need an operating system, so user can use our program or the process, right? How where you can get the operating system from. Okay, so if you want an operating system, you have to install it. Okay, you have to install it, and after install, again you also have to start the operating system, right? And this start of the operating system is known as boot. You have to boot the operating system. Okay, so this process, guys, sometimes known as, if you install the operating system and boot the operating system, is typically known as provisioning of my operating system. This is one thing. And for provisioning of your operating system, right, we have four different way available in the market, right? And what is those four way? I already explained you in the introduction part. Those four way. Just me give. I explained it a little bit a little bit, extra in the last session. But let's give you some name. So if you want to provision operating system, either you can directly install on the top of hardware. This is called bare metal. Okay, or you can provision the operating system on the top of cloud computing. You can provision the operating system on the top of virtualization. The way I have done here, this virtualization, the OS is been provisioned, right? Or the other way would be, you can provision the operating system on the top of Docker also. Okay, instead I say Docker. Okay, you can. Okay. So I believe, guys, my voice is not audible from last few minutes. Just give me hold for a second. Let me check from last for what minute is my voice audible. Just hold for a second, guys. Just please. So, guys, yeah, I think my session was freezed. Actually, it is not actually freeze. Actually, I've set up some studio here, and in the studio, I have some shortcut. Right, sometime it conflict with the shortcut of my virtual machine. Right, so my screen again got freezed when I pressed the shortcut. Right, so sometimes, guys, I missed. So, but technically, I think my last 1 minute ago, my screen was not responding or responsive, so you won't lose anything. So let me again repeat whatever I have discussed, right? So so if you go for if you go for um, uh, virtualization also, again it takes 30 to 60 minutes to install your operating system. So technically guys, we have four platform, but in all these four platform, right, uh, we have if you want to install the operating system, and understand why we want to install the operating system, because without having the operating system we can't run the process. Okay, and if you have a requirement, if you have a requirement, you want your operating system process or provision or install or boot very faster, because there might be possibility that my operating system is keep on running, and inside the operating system I am running web server, and from the internet lots of client has been connected to the web server. Okay. And suddenly there might be possibility that suddenly a huge load come up, a huge traffic come up in my web server, and maybe one web server doesn't able to cope up with this particular load. Okay, so what you can do, either the client is coming and lots of client has come up, and those guy who connect initially they can connect, otherwise everybody lose the connection, or they can see there is no connectivity. Okay, or obviously you don't want this, because you don't want to lose your customer, or you don't want to have a bad name in the terms of reputation, that if somebody goes to this site, for example amazon.com or maybe flipkart.com, and you can see the server is down. So so my point is guys here, as soon as you have the web server, as soon as the clients keep on coming, and if you see the load has been increased, and your web server is not able to fulfill the request of those things, not cope up with the request of those things, what you'll do, you'll install one more operating system, and inside the operating system you can you can sorry guys, you can launch one more web server. Okay, and what you do, some of the client you just connect to this guy, some of the client you can connect to this particular system. So for this we normally have the load balancer we normally use for those purpose. So my point is guys here is uh, how fast you launch this operating system, how fast you configure the web server inside this, and how fast you start sending the traffic to the new web server. That matter a lot, right? So technically guys, if you say now my load has been increased, and now because if you want to launch the web server I need the operating system, and operating system required 60 minutes or 1 hour to install. After 1 hour we configure web server again, some it takes some minutes, and then it starts. Then those client who is not served by these guys can be served by this particular server. Okay, but guys, understand guys, 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hours, how many client you lose, right? And it's a very bad for the reputation for the company also. If some of the site down because your one server is not able to fulfill the request, right? So my point is guys here, this is not an actual scenario, but actually I'll just explain the actual scenario, what happened actually internally. But I'm just giving one very basic example. So in this kind of scenario, right, in this kind of scenario, right, what you want, right, how faster this web server how faster this OS install, how faster you can configure the web server, and how faster you can boot this system, you can start the system, that's matter a lot, right? And here the role of Docker come in play, because using the containerization technology, right, you can launch almost any operating system with with your internal applications, maybe web server, maybe database server, whatever you have. Okay, everything from operating system, and inside the operating system your program, whatever your client want to use, everything you can launch or provision in just in 1 second. And that is the beautiful beautiful part of your the technology called containerization technology. And guys, understand one thing, the interesting part I already explained you, containerization is just a technology name. The product that will run behind the containerization technology is Docker. Again, we have other products also, they were there in the market but but because we are in the Docker training, so the product that we used for the containerization world, it is the Docker. Okay, that's the main thing I'm trying to explain you here. Okay, 1 minute, guys, please. So this is one thing. So the point is, guys, if you ever have a scenario, okay, that you want your operating system installed, then boot, then inside the operating system, whatever application you have, web server, app server, DB server, database server, any other application, your applications also start. Okay, it means you are ready to go. It means your user or the client are ready to use. If you have this scenario and you want this scenario to come up as soon as we can, or as quick as we can, okay, then uh, this concept is actually helpful in the world of DevOps, because one of the principle of DevOps technology, what is DevOps, we haven't discussed, it's not part of this training, but we can keep on talking some word. Okay, the one of the core principle of the DevOps world is how faster you can do the thing. Okay, I'm not talking about the automate, I'm not talking about right now the intelligence, right? Okay, how faster, how agile you are. Okay, that is one of the feature or core part of the DevOps world, right? The faster you are, the faster you solve the thing, the faster you provision the thing, right? It help you in the terms of business growth. How it has been related, we'll discuss in some time. Business grow, and today's, guys, whatever industry you are working at, whatever industry you will work, right, it everything about business, right? If your business is not benefited, if business is not growing, it is there is some issue in the DevOps principle and approach. Okay, so technically my point, guys, here I would like to explain you what is DevOps. We keep on discussing, and maybe in the last and the training you will understand this vocabulary very conceptually. But if you have this requirement, install, boot, and app start, if you can do it faster, very faster, then it help your business like anything, right? This is one thing. And how we can do it faster? So the one of the best way to do it faster using containerization technology means you can use the product like Docker for this. Just in 1 second your complete environment come up. Okay, so guys, maybe by the end of the day, or maybe tomorrow, I will show you this particular practical, this one. Okay, so what we will do, we will create one web server. Will have a client. My client is keep on hitting the one server, and I'll show you after some time, as the traffic hit, my client is not getting the response. So what I'll do, I create one more web server, and I'll show you within a second this web server come up. And when I say web server, it is a complete operating system, and inside the operating system we have web server, and some of the clients will start hitting to this, guys. And we'll put one load balancer. So what is this scenario, we'll discuss how to configure load balancer. So we'll configure our load balancer using HA proxy or maybe nginx, and then Apache web server. So I'll try to create this interesting practical scenario here. And but the main thing that I will like to focus again, guys. This training is not about load balancer. This training is not about balancing the load and web server, right? So the main thing I would like to focus would be is how faster you can launch this OS. Okay, in this particular use case I'm talking about. So my point is, guys, here Docker can help you in lots of scenarios. I keep on talking on those scenario, but right now let me start with this particular concept, that how we can launch our operating system just in 1 second. Okay, if you have this requirement, for in any of the scenario, you can use the Docker. Okay, so let me start from here. Okay, so this is my operating system. Okay, and if you want to see how many OS is running from the Docker right now, So you can use the command called docker ps. So this command will show you how many current OS are running inside the Docker. Okay, and before I do show you some more command, let me give you some vocabulary that I already explained you in the last introduction part. Just as a faster brief, let me give you one more time. So I'm so sorry, guys. I have a little bit cough actually. So okay. So in any of the platform, if you want to launch the operating system, for launching the operating system, we require your operating system image. So without having the DVD, you can't install the OS in the laptop, right? So you require some image of the operating system. So if you have the image, you launch the operating system, or you can install the operating system, or start the operating system. Okay, so this is one requirement. Similarly, guys, in the Docker world also, if you want to launch any OS in the Docker, okay, you require a Docker image. Okay, this is one thing. And if you have the Docker image, from the image you can launch the operating system. And then Docker world, this operating system is technically known as container. So in this training, guys, when I used if I use the word OS operating system, I technically means I'm talking about container, or vice versa. Okay, so that's what. So if you want to see how many container are running, none. If you want to see how many images we have, this is a command we can use. So I have two images, one Ubuntu version 14.04, one is CentOS latest. But if you don't have an image, in the last class I show you, right, you can use the command called docker pull. Okay, and which operating system image you want. For example, I'm looking for CentOS. This is one kind of Linux operating system with version 7. Okay, latest is actually CentOS 8 actually. Okay, but if you want to use any other version, you can use colon and give the version. So what this command will do, it will pull or download your CentOS operating system image or Docker image or version 7 from the internet. So for this you require the internet connectivity, and from where they are downloading. So technically, Docker community has their own internet location, right? So they have own internet URL, means almost all the main operating system images like Red Hat, like CentOS, like Ubuntu, or Mandriva, all those things. So they put in one website, and the location, guys, where they put all the images or operating system images or Docker images are typically known as repository. So they have one centralized public repository. It means anybody without having the account, without giving the charges, they can download. Okay, so that is known as Docker public registry, public repository. Okay, and the location is hub.docker.com. So if you also want to see, just go to your browser and write hub.docker.com, and you can see this is the public Docker repository. So technically, if you download something from the Docker, they are downloading from here. So if you want to see, for example, CentOS, this is operating system we have. 1 minute. Okay, so they are downloading your image from here. Okay, and this is the official image, 10 million plus download, and here they show you all the versions that they have. Okay, version 7 actually, this is the version I'm downloading. Okay, latest I already have with 8, but we don't have an option directly here from here to download. So there's a reason they show you the command. This command is used to download. That's what I am using here. It has been downloaded. Okay, so they are downloading from the Docker hub. And one more thing I would like to tell you here, the Docker images, right, wherever you store all the Docker images, those locations are known as repository. But technically, instead you can see use the word repository. Technically it is known as registry. So hub.docker.com is a Docker public registry, but we also have way we can create your own registry also, where we can put our own images, some our personal images, private images. This is called private registry. So in this training, guys, I will train you how to create your own private registry. So this is the public registry we already have, but if you want to create a private registry, how we can create, we will discuss, okay, in the upcoming class. But right now, whenever you use docker pull command, it download the image from the from the private public registry. It is called hub.docker.com. This is one thing. So technically I have now these three images. so so technically, if you want to launch any operating system, you want an image, I have. Now from this image I can launch my OS, that is called container. And the great thing is, in just in 1 second I can launch. Okay, so the command would be, right now if you see here, I don't have any OS running, but if you want to launch, you can use a command called docker run, because I want to launch or run new operating system. And you want to launch which operating system. So I'm launching, say for example, CentOS version 7. So this is the command you can use. So what happened, if you run this command, it launch a new operating system or the new container. And what you want after it launch the new operating system, you need a terminal, okay, command terminal. So you can have the access of this OS. And this terminal you want to be interactive, means when you run the command, you get the terminal, but when you run the command, it interact with you and it give output to you. If you don't put I, you get the terminal, but it won't be interactive. So whatever command you will run, it won't give you the output. Okay, this is a command, right? So as soon as I hit enter, what I'll show you, this is a for me it is a like a imaginary command, because you know what, in just in 1 second your entire OS, right, from this image, or from this image, the entire OS installed, boot, and finally you get your login console, means you log in inside the OS just in 1 second. One click, it launched. See here. So how can you verify you are inside this OS? Before you was in Red Hat 8, your base OS, this one, you can see localhost. Now you can see command prompt change, because this is the console or the terminal of this OS. Okay, and because I put I can interact and they give the output also. Okay, so we can use this command. And one more way we can verify, what I do, again I open a new terminal. So over here I am into my base Red Hat where Docker is running, and if you run docker ps, you can see now one new OS has been launched. And this OS launched 38 seconds ago, and this OS I launched from this image. And every OS or every container, they give a unique ID for some reason, we'll discuss. This is the ID they have given, and you can verify this ID is the same as this one. Okay, and if you want to shut down this OS, it's so fast, just use the exit command. One click, your operating system shut down. Again, use your docker ps, you can see now it is not visible here, it is shut down. Okay, so this command again we already discussed in the last class. Now great thing is, guys, okay, how come and what the hack behind the Docker, how Docker done this thing in 1 second. Okay, let me again ask this question, guys. How and what is the core hack behind this Docker tool or this content technology, right? How it is so quick. Just in 1 second, your entire operating system boot, install, and give the console to you. Okay, so this is very interesting thing, guys, and I believe me, if you know the right answer of this, right, you it blow our mind, and it give you lots of insight about the technology, and you start thinking like, okay, now, okay, this is so interesting, but it's so simple also, right? Now you can use this idea to create something new. Okay, and believe me, guys, lots of guys put this blog and content in the market, that why Docker is so fast. Okay, but none of the blog or articles I've seen give the right core internal region of this part. So what I'm doing, guys, I have the great answer with me, and I'm saying, it's not about the answer. Whenever I give the answer, right, if you ever attend any of my lecture before, I always give my answer with proof, with some technical proof. Okay, so I have a great answer with technical proof, right, where I will explain you why Docker is fast. But what I'm doing, guys, I just want to have one fast, quick competition for you all. And the competition is, I'm posting this question in the IISc Rise channel. Okay, and what you have to do, whatever sources you have, okay, whatever the links you have, whatever knowledge you have, whatever the guys in the industry you guys know, or all the blogs, Google, you can use any of the medium, okay, and try to find the answer why Docker is fast. And those guys who give the right answer and closer to right answer, I have a special gift for you guys, a special goodie for you, right? We will courier you those goodies. So this is one competition. So just go and find, but I have the answer. I definitely, in the next class session, I will give the answer in detail, in brief. So this is the Eyes Rise platform. These kind of QA questions we keep on asking, and other training also. So I'm posting here why Docker launch OS technically container container very quick. Okay, so I need answer from this. I want the right answer, right? It's not like you can say just share library, or base library the share and all those things, right? So I just need a technical answer with the explanation also. Why Docker launched the OS or container very quick. Okay, so this is what I want. You can do, or if you don't have this access, you just search in the Facebook IIEC Rise. You can get this page, right, where you, in the comment section, you can post your answers. Okay, so this is one thing. And I also have one same page in LinkedIn also. Again, if you search IIC Rise, we you can get this and post your answer here. And those guys who give the right or closer to right answer, I will we will um, share a beautiful gift to you guys, right? So, but yeah, today I'm not talking about why it fast, but definitely I have the answer. I will share you with you. Okay, this is one thing. I would like to tell you one more thing. The one more cool thing about the Docker is, right, when you launch, for example, when you launch this operating system inside the virtual box. Okay, for launching this, you have to give 1 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM, something like this. It means if your laptop is 8 GB in RAM, okay, how many OS you can install? Multiple OS, right? Because when you install the OS, it won't require the hard RAM and CPU. It store everything in the hard disk. But when you start this OS, boot this OS from here, they start consuming your RAM, your memory. Okay, it means if you 8 GB RAM, if you want to launch 4 or 5 VMs or virtual machine here, your system will hang up. But the great thing in the Docker is, right, when you launch the OS from the Docker image using the Docker technology, when you launch the OS, it's called means container, right? Normally, typically, just in 10 MB to 20 MB RAM they launch, depend upon which application they install inside. But normally, only OS I'm talking about, the only OS they launch just in 10 to 20 MB in RAM, just in M, right? This means if you have 8 GB of laptop, how many OS you can launch in parallel, right? You think, guys, right? So let me show this practical over here. How can I show you? For example, right now, if you want to see your current consumption of your RAM from a base Reddit system, you can use this command. So in my base system, my OS used this much uh, RAM, and this much is free. So this much RAM is free in my OS. So what I'm doing, okay, I'll keep on running this command. So if you want to keep on running this command and want to see the live what is going on, you can use the command called watch. And I'm watching this command every 1 second. So what happened? Watch will keep on running this command on the real time every 1 second. This is real time I'm running this command. Let me share this command if you don't know. So on the real time I'm watching my RAM, and what you see, the current free RAM in my base OS where we are running the Docker is 57 MB. Okay. Now what I'm doing, I'm launching one new Docker OS, IT from CentOS 7, for example. So what I'm trying to show you guys here, right? Right now my RAM free is 67 MB because it's a real time, right? But as soon as I hit enter, new OS launch, and this OS will get the RAM from our basic Red Hat. Why they get from base Red Hat, we'll discuss. But how much RAM they consume, I would like to show you. It's like 66 MB is free. As soon as you hit enter, right, it's 59, 53. Okay, is it keep on running, but it's 53, 54. So from 66 to 55, almost 11 or 12 or 15 MB RAM they used to launch this OS. So very small footprint or the resources they consume to launch the entire OS. I am talking about only about the OS, but inside the OS, if you launch other application, they consume more, obviously. But the base OS, when you launch, right, they consume somewhere around this much MB, depend upon the image also. But normal, they consume this much of memory or this much of resources from the base OS. This means in limited resources, RAM and CPU, how many OS you can launch in parallel, right? This is one thing, right? So this is one small practical that I showed to you. Okay, now let me again shut down this OS. Let's now guys discuss some vocabulary about some more commands of the Docker. So right now guys, my today's intention is not discuss so much about the use cases. Okay, my intention is first you comfortable with the vocabulary, comfortable with this some basic concepts, comfortable with some of the commands. So if you have this, so tomorrow and the next few sessions, so guys, we will talk more uh, in the use cases, and we'll build create multiple different practical example of the Dockers. Okay, so let me start from here. So right now these are the images we have. So let me show you some of the commands here. So if you want to launch the OS, you know the command docker run. Okay, docker run. But understand one thing guys, when you launch the OS, okay, you run this command it. For example, I'm running the OS from Ubuntu 1404. Okay, so this OS I'm using with this version also known as tag. I'm inside this OS. Okay, and guys, because you are inside this OS, right, this is the new OS. Okay, and this is the not OS where we install the Docker. From here, if you are try to run any Docker command, it won't work because you are in the new OS, right? And you have installed Docker in your Red Hat. So technically, this is a very common mistake. Normally, the guy who new in Docker they do. Okay, so I just want to give you one small vocabulary here. Okay, the vocabulary here is the system where we install Docker is Red Hat, and in the top of the Red Hat we install Docker, and on top of Docker we can launch multiple OS. Okay, so there is one small vocabulary you should know. Okay, the OS where we have installed Docker is Red Hat 8, and on the top of Red Hat 8 we install this Docker, and on the top of Red Hat 8 Docker service is running. So either you use the word Docker services, or sometimes it's known as Docker engine. So Docker engine is running on the top of Red Hat 8. Okay, you can verify by this command. Okay, this is my Red Hat 8. So if you run the Docker system ctl status Docker, you can see in my system Docker engine is running. This is one thing, right? Now uh, second thing guys, uh, on the top of Docker we can launch multiple OS because Docker is a platform where you can provision the OS. Okay, and this OS either you can say use the word OS, but typically technically known as container, and container is become a new OS. But where we have installed Docker, we have installed Docker on the top of Red Hat. So any command that is related to Docker, you have to first go to Red Hat and there you have to run it. And the OS where the OS that we used to run the Docker or install the Docker, that OS is also known as Docker host. So in your system, Red Hat 8 is your Docker host. So whenever I say go to Docker host, I mean just go to Red Hat 8. And for this, open a new terminal. Okay, you are into the Red Hat 8. And normally from this prompt also you can see sometimes so localhost, it means you are in the Red Hat 8. And all the Docker command you can run from the Docker host only. But if you try to run any command inside the OS that is run inside the Docker, you can't run. Okay, these are the new OS, and this OS is Ubuntu. So all the Ubuntu command, for example, Ubuntu yum command doesn't work. But in the Ubuntu, if you want to install the OS or if you want to install any software, apt command work. Okay, so all the Ubuntu respective command you can install here. This is the one small thing, right? So now one more small thing. Right now is this OS running, so I'm opening a new terminal of my base host, and you can use Docker PS. Every OS they give one unique name, ID, and they also give some unique random names. Okay, what is the use of this name? For example, we can use this name or ID for something. For example, this OS is running. Okay, and if I exit this OS, the OS shut down obviously, but it is only shut down, it's not terminated. So if you want to see all the OS that you started and is stopped, okay, you can use Docker ps-a. By this command you can see all the OS that has been currently running or maybe stopped. Okay, so guys, these are the OS. For example, this was the OS that I stopped or exited 16 seconds ago. Okay, so because this OS is stopped, if you want you can again start it. Okay, how to start? The command is docker start, and at the time guys, now you can use the ID or you can use the name, whatever you feel like. So you can use the name of this OS to start it away. Okay, now this OS again start. How can you know? You can use docker ps command. Now it again starts. For 3 seconds ago we have started. Okay, but if you want to understand one thing, when you start any OS, it start in the background. Background means right now you are into Red Hat. You are not inside the this OS. So when you start any OS that is shut down, if you start again, they are running in the background. You can see it is running. Right now I'm in the Red Hat, but OS is running in the background. But if you want to go in, you can use the command called docker attach. Okay, and you can give the ID again or the name. Okay, so what it do, it log in inside the OS. You get the console, you get the command terminal of that OS. Okay, but it was showing you guys. So when you do attach, you have to enter one more time to get the command line of this particular OS. You can see I am into the same f2e is this one. Okay, and if you do exit again, it's shut down. So technically, right, if you want to see all the OS that they are running or contain running, you can use docker ps. If you want to see all the OS that are running plus everything that's shut down, you can use this command. Okay, this is one thing. One more thing guys, when you run a docker OS or container, they give a random IDs that they decide, but they also give random name. Okay, this name is good because sometimes it's very harder. Okay, this was the one where we configure web server, this was the one where we configure database. So technically ID, remembering the ID is very harder, so we can use the name to remember the things, right? But again, the name they are giving are again very random. So what you can do, you can give your own name. For example, I'm going to launch one more OS. Okay, for example, I have these images, you can use any image. So I'm going to launch one more OS, for example, from CentOS 7, this version. Okay, and as soon as I hit enter, they give a unique ID for this OS plus some random name. But if you want to give your own name, you can give an option called happen name. Okay, and for example, I'm just going to give my own name Vimal OS. Okay, so it launch a new OS, okay, with some random IDs. This called container ID. But internally, if you open your new terminal again, your base host of Red Hat, if you run docker ps, you can see the name that is assigned is my own name. The use case for this name is like a tag. It is a name. So for example, if you think this OS you're gonna use for Apache web server, just give the name Apache web server. This OS you want to use for Hadoop, give the name Hadoop. You want to use for example, for anything, right? For Spark, you can use a Spark or database. So always give the name that makes the more sense, because in the future you have hundreds and thousands of container running for multiple things. The name always help us to identify those things. And how you can use the name? You can use name for everything, right? For example, my OS is running. If you want to stop the OS, you can use stop your name. So right now in the background you can see this OS is running, and from the outside if you want to stop, just click here, the OS shut down. So it is shutting off of your operating system or the container. So so you can use these names. So you can see from outside, you can see it's stopped. You can verify with Docker PS stop, but you can use Docker PS A. You can see your OS is there. It's not terminated, but it is been stopped 10 seconds ago. Now if you want to start, because you know the name, you can start it. So you just start Vimal OS. OS starts. You can verify with this command, OS starts. But if you want to go in, you can use Docker attach. It take you inside the operating system of you, right? So having the name, if you know the name is very simple. That you can remember. You can just know the name, start, stop, attach, or lots of other commands also you can do. Okay. And if you really want to if you, especially if you are new in the Docker, right, normally the way we understand this concept is, for example, in this virtualization world, if you want to launch a new operating system, you just click new. It will help you to install the new operating system, right? Similarly, right, in the Docker world, for example, this is the virtualization world, and we have one more platform, is called containerization. Okay, so in the virtualization world we have lots of product, like we are using Oracle VirtualBox. In the container world we have a lot of product like Docker. But in the virtual world, if you want to launch a new OS, this OS is known as VM. In the container world, when you launch a new OS, this OS is known as container. In the virtualization world, if you want to launch the OS, normally we have the graphical way, we have the command also, right? But here, if you want to launch a new OS, we have a command called Docker run. Docker run is a command to launch the new OS. Like in the virtualization world, if you want to start the OS, just click here to start graphically, right? But here in the Docker, if you want to start the OS, you can use Docker start. In the virtualization world, if you want to stop the OS, just right click, there's option called close and power off. It shut down the OS, hard shutdown, right? Similarly, if you want to shut down the OS, we have two way. If you are inside the Docker container, you can use exit command. But if you're outside if you're in the Red Hat OS, you can use Docker stop command. It means if you are inside this OS, technically if you see here, right, if you're inside this container, you can use exit to shut down. Or if you was in the Red Hat base system, you can use Docker stop. The two way to stop your operating system. Okay, so this is the comparison commands or vocabulary you can use. And if you want to see how many OS you have, you can see the list, how many OS you have. Similarly, here we can use Docker PS-A to see how many OS they have. Okay, so this is one thing. So one more question, guys, I have for you. I showed you when you launch a Docker, it launch your Docker OS or container just in 10 to 20 MB RAM. Okay, why and how is possible? Just complete entire operating system they are running in 10 to 20 MB in RAM. So again, this is one more question that I have, right? How is possible, right, that Docker launches entire OS, technically container, in very less Memory means RAM, right? Sometime 10 to 20 MB. Okay, all right. Why and how is possible? How Docker launched the entire this thing? So what is the technical reason for this? Okay, how is possible? So again, guys, try to find your best answer and put in this this quiz here, and let's see who give the right answer. So this is one more task for you. Okay, guys, I just require 10 for 15 more minutes, then we'll go for faster Q&A, and then we'll take a fast quick break. Okay, so let me show you some more vocabulary command here. Before this, let me show you one small thing. Okay, so this is my terminal of my Red Hat is Docker host, and I have these images. Okay, and I'm going to launch one new operating system from CentOS version 7, and it's good practice always to give a name, unique name should be unique. If I try to give the same name that you have, right, it failed. This is name already conflict. Okay, and so you have to give always unique name that is not exist. So example, I'm just going to give Vimal OS 1. So technically, guys, I'm inside the CentOS, okay, or new OS. Okay, if you run the command like ls, it is working, date, it is working. But normally in Linux, if you want to see the IP address, you have to use a command called ifconfig. And if you try to run the ifconfig command, it failed, and what it says, command not found. And a lot of guys start thinking that inside the Docker OS, ifconfig command doesn't support, but it is not like this, guys. Whatever support in CentOS, whatever support in Ubuntu, it supports in Docker, right? There would be no as such exception. There might be some exception, but there is no exception. So whatever you do normally in a VM, normally in the cloud, normally in laptop, all the command, all the program support here, exactly the support here. Okay, but understand one thing, if sometimes they show you command not found, it means this command is not available, but you can get it. Okay, for this you should know one small thing, right? Those guys who know basic lines, they know. For example, okay, this one base Red Hat, if you run the date command here, it is working. But what is date is a program, and every program is a file, and every file is located somewhere. So you can use which command to get the location where this command located. Okay, and every program file is normally come from some software, and in the Red Hat, the software name, the software name or software is managed by a format called RPM. So you can use RPM and ask RPM, I have a query for you. I'm just giving you one file name or program name, right? Can you give me the software name of this? So they give the software name like core utils. It means date command or a program come from this software. It means somebody installed the software. That is the reason I have the date command. Similarly, similarly, if you talk about ifconfig command, in my base Red Hat, ifconfig command is working. You can, by this command we can see the IP. But if you try to find what is the location of this command, you can use which, and which software this command come from, you can use this particular RPM having Q. Okay, the software name is NetTools. So this is the software through which we have ifconfig command come up in the market in my operating system. Okay, so my point is, guys, if you don't see any ifconfig command right anywhere in your, especially in your Red Hat or CentOS, it means the software called NetTool is not there, because this software is not there, and that is a reason, we don't have the ifconfig command. And if you want to install the software in Red Hat, and guys, technically, if you don't know anything about CentOS, so whatever command you run in Red Hat, it exactly work in CentOS. Okay, you can think, guys, Red Hat is operating system Linux. CentOS is also Linux operating system. The only difference is, right, whatever software if you want to use in Red Hat, normally you have to take the subscription from the Reddit. They charge you. Okay, but whatever the we have in the Red Hat, okay, they open to the market as a public or as open source free in the name of CentOS. Okay, so it is known as a downstream project. So CentOS is a downstream project of Red Hat. So it means whenever you see any version Red Hat 8 come up, CentOS 8 also come up, and that is the reason what a software you install CentOS, it also supports Red Hat. It means exactly whatever you do in Red Hat operating system, right? Same software, same command, it work in CentOS operating system. It means if you know something Red Hat, exactly same thing you can do in the CentOS OS. Okay, and that might be reason if you go to Docker Hub, and from here if you try to search for Red Hat image in the Docker Hub, you won't see any Red Hat image here. Okay, if you try to search rel, okay, you won't see any official image of Red Hat. This is an image somebody has uploaded. I also show you how in the upcoming class how to create your own personal image. You can also upload here, right? But there is no official Red Hat image here, because Red Hat is the operating system. If you want to use Red Hat, you have to subscribe, you have to give the license fee to the Red Hat. So technically if you talk about Docker, in the Docker we have a Red Hat or rel Docker images, but you can't get it from the Docker Hub. So we have a different registry or the hub or the repository from the Red Hat, but for this you have to subscribe to get it. Okay, it means if you want to work freely on the Red Hat, okay, then whatever the practice or test you want to do, you can do on the top of CentOS because it is free. But they are both are exactly same, right? So whatever test or practice you want to do in the Red, you can do for CentOS, or you just go for Red Hat, subscribe the license, or you can create your own image. And how to create your own image, I will explain you in the upcoming classes. Okay, this is the same thing I'm talking about here. It means whatever practical you want to do on the top of Red Hat, you can use CentOS also. Okay, it is freely available. Okay, now one thing guys, in the CentOS or in the Red Hat, if you want to install any software, you can use RPM command. And even though I already took the lecture of basic Linux, and those guys who don't know the yum, I suggest you can use one lecture. I already shared the video link in your channel. So there's one class we did of yum. The yum is a command or tool in the Red Hat. It is a tool to manage the packages. It's a tool through which we can install the software. Okay, so those guys who don't know yum, I highly suggest please listen my that particular lecture where I explain you everything from the yum and how to configure. But great thing is inside the container, the yum is already been configured. So those guys who created this image, they have given us yum pre-configured. Okay, these are the files they already configured, and in this configure the base URL is the internet one. Means when you install any software internally, they download the software directly from the internet. So they write all the URL where the software of CentOS is available. So technically inside this particular in this particular um, uh, mm, OS or container that we launch from CentOS, you don't have to configure yum. Yum is already configured, but yum is a command through which we can install the software. So make it simple. If you want to get ifconfig command, you have to install a software. You can use yum install command. And which software you can install? NetTools. Okay, you can install this software. And if you have internet connectivity, in your container or OS that by default you have, okay, you it will download this software from the internet and it will install for you. They are downloading for you. So my point guys, that my intention is to just prove you and to show you, right, inside your OS that you launch from the Docker are known as container. And if you think some of the command and program is not available, command and program is not available, it's so simple. Just find out the name of the software of or the RPM from where this command and program come up, and just install this particular RPM to with yum to install it. That's what I'm doing. So I'm downloading this software using yum, and after downloading they will install for you. Now the software has been installed. You can verify with the yum list command. Now it has been installed in my system. Okay, because it's installed now, because this software is the one through which ifconfig command come up. Now I can use the ifconfig command inside my container, and I can see the IP address of my container. Okay, similarly, whatever the command is not available that you think you require, you can install it with the yum. And good thing, you don't have to configure yum, even though you guys know how to configure yum, but you don't have to configure it, it is there. Okay, this is one thing. Let me tell you guys some more thing here. A lot of guys again has a myth. Again has a myth. A lot of guys think, lots of guys think that whatever we create something inside the container, means whatever data you save inside the container is temporary. Means for example, this is your container, okay, having the ID 89EC something. Okay, and okay, for this let me explain you in this way. Let me close this, let me create new one. So I'm going to launch one more new OS, run IT from for example use CentOS 7. I'm launching one new OS, and I'm going to create one file with the cat command, for example linux.txt, and I say like hi linux, control D. If I create it, I have the data stored. Okay, so a lot of guys think whatever data you store inside the container, okay, it is temporary. Means they say if you exit, this data has been lost. And sometimes they also try to prove you. How they prove you, right? Where they run this command again, it take you inside the container, and whatever the file you create has been lost. Again, one thing guys, that is not a right practical, and this is just a myth. Understand one thing, guys. Under one thing, whenever you run use the run command, it launch a new OS. Okay, the file that you created inside the OS having the ID this one DC something, and when you run the new OS, it become a new OS they launch. It is something like this. Okay, whatever data you put inside this VM, it's there, right? When you launch a new OS, it is a new OS. Obviously it can't see the same data there. Okay, so technically what I'm trying to tell you here is whatever data you have put inside the Docker, it stored permanently, it is not temporary. Okay, whatever data you put, it is not temporary. Sometimes somebody think, right, that's what I'm explaining you, it is store your data permanent. Okay, but only thing is because when you do exit, this OS shut down. So what can you do, right? You can start this OS again. So right now if you see this OS is stopped, you can start the OS. Which OS? This one where you created the file. Which OS we created the file? That having the ID this one. I started. And if you see, if you start, it started. If you go inside again, so whenever you start anything that is stopped, it go run in the background. So if you want to go in, you can use the attach command to go in, and if you do ls, you can see your data back. It means whatever data you store inside your operating system, inside the container, it is permanent till the time you terminate. And how to terminate? Okay, for example, this OS is there, it's shut down, but if you can see the list, the DC2BD, if you see the all list, you can see DC 2D is there. But if you want to delete it permanent, you can use the command called docker rm and delete this. So it now permanently removed. And if you removed, it means everything is removed. So now if you try to see, there is no OS there. Now you can't get your data back. Okay, so it is something like this. If you right click in the OS and remove, it is permanently removed. So if you want to terminate the OS, okay, terminate the OS, you can use docker rm command. It permanent terminate your operating system or the container. Okay, this is one thing. Let me guys ask you one thing. Last 5 minutes I want, then we go for Q&A. Okay, so in the Docker guys, I am going to launch one more new OS. from CentOS version 7. Okay, and just trying to give the name. Okay, and just give any name, for example OS 1, unique name, one new OS. Guys, if you, I don't know, have you noticed or not, right? I'm so frequent to launching the OS. If I asked you the same question, guys, that I have to do some practical, just go to VM, launch the new OS because I want to run a date command. Okay, like, you think 10 times before you launch the new OS, because it take a lot of time, lot of energy, a lot of RAM and CPU. Half an hour, 1 hour it consume, it hang up my system, right? You think 10 times before you launch the OS. But if you notice here, guys, I am not thinking anything when I launching the OS from the Docker. It's so quick, so fast, limited RAM and CPU, right? Within a second they launch. As fast I'm running a command, as fast they run the OS, right? So I don't have to think it. So whenever you have any use case where you want to test the thing, do the thing very faster, do the thing very faster, right? Again, those use case being solved by Docker. It's so quick, so fast, right? So if you have any test cases, you want to test, you want to build something, right? Just launch it, do it, and done. That's all, right? We'll discuss also on those part in some time. The OS been launched now, guys, because this is the full-fledged OS. You can run all the command, you can run all the program. Okay, and even though it's not about you have to just only run the date command, ls command, you can launch and run any command. Even though you can launch the command that is graphical command. For example, I'll go to a base system. This is my Red Hat base system. I'm running the date command, is working fine. But if you want to use a Firefox, it's a graphic command, I can launch. So from the command line also, we can use a command to launch any graphical program, maybe Firefox or VLC player or something like this. I can launch it, right? Okay. Similarly, this is my base Red Hat, but similarly, the same kind of setup you can do from the Docker also. So if we have a requirement to launch any graphical program, you can also do from here. But technically, again, the command is not available. Okay, and idea, guys, if the command is not available, you have to find the software name through which this command comes. And by chance, if you find this some command come from software called Firefox. So Firefox is a command, it comes from a software called Firefox. So what I'm again discussing to you and telling to you, right? You can use your Docker container for running any command, any program. It might be a command that giving the text output, it might be command or program that are giving a graphical output. The only thing is you have to install the software. If the command program is not available there, you have to install the software there. Okay. And one of the great things that Docker help you, if you are a programmer, okay, and if you are a programmer and you want to uh, write a program like in Java 7, Java 8, maybe in Python 2, Python 3, 3.6, 3.8, right? You can use Docker to do it, right? And I don't know, guys, have you heard about the term called platform as a service? Okay, almost all the great developer are leveraging the power of platform as a service. For example, if you go to Amazon AWS cloud, it's Beanstalk. Maybe if you had heard about Cloud Foundry, if you heard about Google platform as services, if you heard about OpenShift, right? So those are the very great products in the market. Lots of guys using this, right? Especially as a developer. Okay, but almost all the platform behind the scene they are using containers. Almost maximum platform are using Docker behind the scene. Okay, so in the upcoming class we will discuss about platform service a little bit also, and even I'll show you how they're leveraging the power of Docker. We'll also try to create something like platform as service kind of setup using just from basic leave from the Docker also. Okay, so we will talk on those part how to do this, right? But the main thing, guys, whatever field you are from, you can use the Docker. Okay, so you can install Python here, Java here, do the program, run it. So it is like your own personal OS. Or even though you can think in this way, I have normally you have one laptop, right? In one laptop you're doing everything. you're using VirtualBox, or you're using browser, you opening the images, you run your Java program, Python program. But in the Docker, what can you do? One OS dedicated for my VLC player, one OS dedicated for writing Python 2 programming, one OS dedicated for Python 3 program, one OS dedicated for my browser. Every program, for everything, we can have our own operating system. Okay, so whenever you want to launch the Firefox, launch this OS and start the Firefox, right? And you know how within a second it launch, within a second Firefox launch also inside this. Okay, so what is benefit this or for this? Lots of benefit. One of the benefit would be, okay, these are two different OS. So due to any reason, any bug come in Firefox, any security bug come in Firefox, so it might hack this OS. And what they find, it in this OS, it find only Firefox. It won't impact my VLC player. It won't impact my other Python program or databases. Okay, because you know sometimes happen, if Firefox has a bug, and due to this bug, other program or other data in my system also been hack up, or maybe hacked, right? So this is one great benefit, right? Other benefit would be, right, this OS has their own personal RAM, own personal CPU, own personal resources, right? This OS will have own personal RAM and resources. How they have personal, we will discuss in a minute, right? So if you are doing something here and if we consume more, it won't impact the VLC player performance. Okay, so we'll discuss about how we have a personal constraint in the RAM, CPU and resources. So lots of guys use case, I'm keep on talking about some of the use case, depend what it fits, and I'll show you all those use practicals to you in some time. Okay, but right now let me install this Firefox. So I have my own personal OS. Okay, if I open my my base terminal, if you run the docker ps, okay, docker ps, you can see this OS1 is running, and inside this OS1 I am installing my software called Firefox. Okay, so after Firefox launch, let me show you how does it work for us or not. Okay, technically they are installing successfully, but it will work or not. Okay, so you know what guys, what happened when you launch, install any program inside the Docker OS. Okay, when you install any program inside the Docker OS, okay, and if this program are giving you a output in some kind of text output, technically what I'm trying to show you, tell you again, you can install any program inside the Docker, any command program, any software. But if program if give you output in CLI or text format, it show you there, there's no error. But if program wanted to give you a output, okay, that require a GUI. For example, the software that I'm installing is Firefox. So we can install the software, Firefox program. But when start launching the Firefox, it requires GUI. And if it required GUI, it failed. It failed. So let me show you. Okay, technically, there's no issue in the installation of the Firefox. It is working fine, right? Okay, but as soon as I launch the Firefox program, you know what happened? All right, right now I'm inside the container. You can see I'm inside the container. Okay, if you hit enter, it failed. They failed to open the Firefox because it required some graphical display. It failed. Okay, so if you see this error, a lot of guys start thinking it means inside the Docker we can't launch a program that require GUI, graphical user interface. But guys, it is a myth. Okay, it is a myth, right? That we can't launch a GUI program in the Docker. Technical answer is yes, we can do it. Okay, we have a way inside the Docker you can launch a program that has a GUI, for example, like Firefox or gedit or Notepad or any IDE, or maybe maybe like VLC player. You can do it. Okay, question how? Again, I have the answer. I will definitely give you tomorrow, not today, but I just want to ask this question to you again, right? How can you give GUI program access inside Docker container? Okay, so this is one more task I would like to give you. Technical answer, yes, we can do, but how we can launch GUI program inside the Docker container? So what are the best answer you have? Post here. So this answer I will give you tomorrow, and if you have the answer, you think, guys, you know what, okay, whatever you can do in the normal OS, right? For example, this is my normal OS, Red Hat. I can run the basic command that give you a text output. I can run the Firefox command or gedit command that giving the graphical output. Everything whatever you're doing your base OS, like a normal operating system, right, you can do inside the Docker also. If you do this, it means almost everything whatever you do inside your base OS, you can do inside the Docker container. That's my main thing. Okay, but doing the things in the Docker give you a lot of sense, a lot of things. First of all, they are very fast. Second thing, whatever we do inside the Docker, I explain you there. Okay, whatever you do inside, where's my diagram? I don't know, where is lost. So whatever you do inside the Docker, right, it is isolated. The great thing that Docker give you, if you launch this Firefox inside this OS of Docker, this called container, this Firefox is isolated. So due to any bug in the Firefox, it won't impact my other OS or other program in other Docker containers. Okay, and if other OS has some issues, it won't impact this guy. Okay, and isolation is the biggest way to secure the thing, or biggest way to manage the thing. Okay, we'll talk more about isolation sometime when we talk a little bit more, little bit advanced in Docker security. Even though we haven't started Docker security yet, we will definitely discuss. The isolation is one great thing that is provided by the Docker. Okay, so this is the one more practical, guys. I show you now. This OS is running right now. Okay, so you can use Docker ps command. It is running right now. If you want to shut down, you can use docker stop to shut it down. Okay, but because Firefox is software, or because I store the software, it is stored inside this OS, and I show you guys whatever data you put or software you put, it is permanent. So in the future, if you want to run the Firefox again, you just go and start Docker OS 1. It again start once again. Guys, this is one thing I'm talking about, right? That time, the great thing about the Docker is, right, if you want to install the new OS, boot the OS, and get your app start in a second. Similar kind of example it is, not exactly, but similar kind of example. In 1 second, your OS start, right, and whatever the app we have inside the OS, maybe web server, app server, or Oracle database, or maybe Firefox, it come up. And if you want to go in, want to use, you can use this OS. Now we have the Firefox. Right now it is not working because I haven't give the graphical support, but that's the question I asked you. Just go and try, find how we can get the graphical support. Okay, so that is the one thing I'm talking about. So guys, yeah, I've just started the thing. Okay, technically none of the use case I showed you as a practical, but I keep on touching some of the great use cases where you can use the Docker. But all those things what I'm discussing right now, how it used in the DevOps world, right, why so fast, right, how we can create this sort of like load balancer, all those things, how to use the passive environment, how to isolate the Docker. I just give some of the core use case of the Docker. I haven't show you the practical because this is not right time to discuss, because you guys doesn't know again some more thing about the Docker. So initial today my intention was to make you comfortable with the Docker commands, right? Then from tomorrow onwards we start picking these kind of use cases, go more deep dive into Docker, and start implementing those use cases. Okay, with maybe integrating with other tools, so like Jenkins or that, or if you want, will do. So let's do, guys, one thing. Let's do a quick 5 minute of Q&A, or 10 minutes if you want. Okay, and then we go for 10 or 15 minute of break, right? As a break in between, and then we come back, and we again learn some more new commands, right? I suggest, if you want to practice right now, as a these command whatever I'll discuss, you can practice. I put everything in the Google Drive, and the link of this Google Drive where I have put this thing, this Google Drive, we already shared you guys in your channel. So if you are part of IIEC channel in the Telegram, we've already shared this Google Drive link. You can go and get from there this page. Okay, so everything, I whatever commands I run, I post everything. Even the diagram also I will post there, these diagrams, right? So let's go for faster Q&A. Okay, so what I'm doing, guys, I'm enabling my chat window of the Docker. So 1 minute, please. So guys, I enabled my chat window. Okay, so it pop up in your app in a minute, and if it doesn't pop up, just refresh your page, or go back and again come in. All right, it you'll see your chat window pop up, and I'm just putting hi there. Okay, so till here, if you have any question, we will you can ask me. So somebody asked me, if we didn't terminate the Docker or shut down the virtual machine, will data yes, yes, the data will be there. If you directly shut down your Red Hat, okay, you won't lose your data, because data is stored in the hard disk. So whatever you put in the hard disk, it won't store. Series say there is no internet connection inside the container, but I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Let me, guys, share my screen again. Okay, so if you talk about this particular OS, I am in the Red Hat. If you have a internet connectivity from the Red Hat, my case I have, then if you launch any OS on the top of on the top of this Red Hat, if you launch any container, so this is my new OS, new container, and now from here also, if you try to do a connectivity to the one of the IP of Google, you can see we have the connectivity. Or if you try to ping facebook.com, if you want to ping google.com, we have the internet connectivity. Okay, so if you don't see this internet connectivity, so just check, does your base OS has the connectivity or not. If your base OS doesn't have the connectivity, you can't do have the connectivity from the OS. This is one thing. Second thing, guys, I also noticed one small thing, right? In some of the version of the Docker, they have some issue in the connectivity. We have to do something else, right? So you can run this Docker version command. Okay, version command. Okay, and if you see my current version, not see the Docker client version, just see the Docker server version. So what is server client? We have one topic we'll discuss. So if you see the Docker server version, I'm using 1809. Okay, I suggest, guys, also try to use the same version. If you're using some version like 19 something in the server, you might see some internet connectivity issue. Why? Again, we will talk in, if you want, in the future. But right now, I suggest just use the version that I am using, so you can also sync with me. So this is one more thing that you can use. Okay, and that's all. Yeah, one more small thing. At the time of launching the Docker container, if you are seeing some error, it failed, OSI container runtime fail, if you are facing this issue, okay, at the time of launching, in my case it is working very fine, but at the time of launching the container, and if you are seeing any error, something like failed, something like OSI container failed, permission denied, if you see this kind of error, okay, then there is a reason for this, right? We have one great security and underline my Red Hat OS, it is called SE Linux. So this is one of the great security. Some of the feature they are stopping to do in our Red Hat, because technically we are running Docker on the top of Red Hat, and SE Linux is running in the top of with the Red Hat, right? It's one great security. It's called SE Linux, Security Enhanced Linux. It stops Docker for doing something. Okay, so if SE Linux is activate in your system, right, Docker won't able to launch. Okay, so for this thing, all right, even though we have a way to solve it, to write some rule, but I'm not going for that direction. So what you have to do, you have to use a command called get enforce. Okay, in my case SNS enforcing, it means enabled, but in your case if it is enabled, it's working fine, that's great. But in your case, if you see it failed, it is not working, what you can do, you can disable the SNS for some time. This is the command you can use to disable the SNX, right? Zero means disable. It shows you permission, it is something like disable. Okay, so if at the time of launching it is failing with this kind of error, I suggest to disable SLNX for some time, then start using, it will work for you. Okay, if you are failing this with this some error. Okay, now let me again move to some more queries you have. Yes, you can do unsol SSH between the OS. By default, it doesn't support SSH, but I'll show you how to enable SSH, means remote access in the Docker container. I will show you how to do this. Okay. Uh, Difference between, can you explain again Docker image and Docker container? Yes, Gopi, we have discussed already. Docker Docker image is the one through which you launch the OS, and contains the one, the OS that is contains your OS, right? So I believe, I think if Gopi, if you go through my first lecture of introduction, there I explain you this thing little bit more, right? So I don't want to waste the time again. Just go to my introduction lecture. There I explain you the meaning of image in detail and image in content, not detail but conceptual explanation I've given you. You can understand from there the difference with exit and the Docker stop. Technically, as such there is no difference, but when I go move forward, when I start explaining you the internal part of the Docker, there I explain you there's a big difference in Docker stop and exit command. Right now it is working same, but wait for some that topic, I will explain you very interesting difference between the stop and the exit. Okay, the difference at run and test, guys, run is different, right? If your OS is already running in the background and if you want to connect and get the console, you can use attach. But if your OS is not running and you want to launch new, then you have to use Docker run command. Okay, this is the difference, right? Okay, which hard disk space Docker is using? Again, there is one topic in Docker called storage. There I explain you in detail about how the Docker are using the storage and from where are getting the storage. Okay, so that part I will explain you guys there. Guys, if you want to join the Telegram group or the Telegram channel, just check your mail. We already mail you some contact number. Contact to those volunteers. They will help you to connect to those things, those channels and the group. Uh, yes, guys, apt-get unsol apt-get is a command in Ubuntu. That is again also configure if you go to Ubuntu. And in the Red Hat, we don't use apt-get. We use yum on CentOS also. But in both the images, if you use, they already has pre-configured. Okay. Yes, Ansul, you can use export command display. Just go and try does it work or not. So guys, whatever query I ask you to launch the graphical from inside the Docker container, just go and check that it is working or not. Okay, if it's working, then put the answer there. Okay, but display concept is not exactly work. You have to do some more thing. Yes, Ravi, we after this break, we will discuss about the execute command. So you can see the difference in execute, run, and other things. So what is the use of execute command exe in Docker? We'll discuss. Now, if ping command is not working in Ubuntu, it means ping command is again come from some software. You can install that software and do it. Okay, some of the command is not working. uh, if command is not there, install the command. And if command is there but it is not working, there's a different reason, maybe of network connectivity. So just check cities, the network connectivity, the way I explained. If a base system has an internet connectivity, then it should work inside this. And check the version also of your Docker. Okay, where the container is stored physically. A container is a is a running OS. It won't store anywhere. It is the live OS running on the RAM, but they have some internal files. I'll show you in the upcoming topic where to store it. Nilesh, yes, we can set the host name. For this, we will discuss one topic of privilege. So in the privilege part, I'll show you to change the Docker privilege of the root account, and then I show you how to enable this part, how to set the host name. Can we add more interface in the container? Yes, we have a way we can add more interfaces in the container. Technically, we don't require, I don't see so any great use case for this. But yes, we can add, we have way in the networking part of Docker. I'll show you how to allocate memory CPU. We have one concept of affinity of C group come up, maybe in the upcoming class. I'll show you how to constrain with the affinity with the RAM and CPU. My Jenkins container stop after 6 to 9 all the configuration. 1 minute. Abhishek Jaiswal asked, my Jenkins container stop after 6 or 7 days and all the config get deleted. Can I run the new image while the Jenkins container in the running stage? And the image also catered with all the config. Yes, you can do it, but if it is harder for me, Abhishek, to give the answer in this way, because I don't know why they are stopping. First of all, are you manually stopping or some other script stopping for it, or how the image being created? Because there's concept called CMD or entry point. Are they are the one who is stopping it? Okay, so there's a lot of reason why they're stopping it, but yeah, you can create a new image. Okay, you can get the new image if your question is this one while the container is running. So this will I show you today. So at the time of the container is running, you can create a new image from this. But I don't think so it's solely your Jenkins the issue that you're talking about. But yeah, what are you asking? Yes, we can do. How? I will show you. Okay, again, yum installation command fail. Just check your network connectivity, because technically yum is fetching the data software from the internet. If internet is not connected in your Docker OS or container, yum also won't work the way we have the configuration. Yes, Shivam, I'll try. I'm not committing you about the AWS. Let's me complete Docker. It is a great technology for the industry, for the career, and for solving multiple use cases. So let me first complete the Docker. Let's then we think about other technologies. Yes, Neeraj, we have a one great way. Is one great question you asked, how to detach. So after the way you guys come from break, I will share those things how we can detach. Okay, so I think I almost all the queries I have touched, and some of the query guys, it would be the part of the upcoming class. Though in those part, you will get the answer of those query or whatever you asking. Okay, yes, guys, we can run both VLC and multiple graph applications. You can launch in one Docker. You can launch, right? So because it's OS, you can launch multiple OS. Everything will work. Okay, so if you guys are having network issue, just suggest going to base OS. Just check your base OS is has internet connectivity. If not, so go through some of my basic Linux classes. You can find the same YouTube channel. There I talk a little bit about the networking setup, or you can ask your volunteer. They will help you in in network connectivity settings, right, of your Red Hat VM. Okay, so I don't want to waste this time in this class for checking those network connectivity in your base VM, right? Okay, okay. So you say your base has internet, right? Okay, but you but you won't able to do a network ping from your OS. uh, if you can share me the screenshot in your group of volunteer, they check, or even they pass to me, let me check, right? But I suggest please check your Srijit, check your version of the Docker. If you're using the server version in 19, then they have some issue, we have to resolve it. But if you're using the same version that I am using, that they might be the other reason would be just share your both the screenshot, your base stuff pinging, but from the Docker of CentOS it failed. So share the screenshot too with me. Yes, Fiaz, we can create a replica of the Docker machines. How we can do in the upcoming class, we discuss, right? So yes, Vijay, please share with me in a group of the volunteer. Either they will help, or ask them. They will share to me. I will help you guys. So that's all, guys. Let's go for a small break. So it's like 11 o'clock. We take a break of 15 minutes. So please jump. Come back, guys, at 11:15 of IST Indian time. In 15 minutes, we will continue, guys. Okay. So guys, see you in next 15 minutes. Bye. Take care. So, guys, let's come back and let's continue with the next part. So again, guys, my today's at intention for me, this is just a first day, and my intention for today is to just you help you guys to sync with the Docker and the basic command, right? And from tomorrow onwards, we will start taking multiple different use cases and to use Docker to build those things, right? But today I'm just trying to give you as much as base core command that we used very frequently. But again, before I start, I would like to again um, tell you that this is the one of the great uh, tool or the technology, and this will help you in grooming your skills, in uh, getting in the right projects, and also those guys who are hunting for the jobs and help you in somehow in the jobs also, right? So it is a great tool for your career and the world has been changed, has been transformed by using this kind of tools or the technology, right? So take this training as a very serious note, right? And almost all the Q&A that you guys asked, I'll try to resolve those things. If something's been left, put in your group, they will help you. But yeah, some of the topic that you guys asking, for example, somebody asked me about the OS pinning. So yes, if your base OS is pinned and some CPU, you can also pin the Docker process of that particular CPU. So those things also, when I go for constraint in the Docker, I will explain you how to restrict the resource constraint, all the things we'll discuss, right? But today is the first day basics, so I don't want to go to those part right now, right? So this is one thing. So now, guys, let me take you to the next step in the Docker. Before this, I would like to again convey one message. It sometime it looks that because this is the free training, this is the free of cost training, so we so it won't cover the all the content. But I am giving you a guarantee. If you invest a huge amount in Docker learning for advanced training of Docker, expertise training in Docker, normally in the market 20 to 20,000 they charge if you go for classroom or live instructor-led training for the advanced Docker training, right? Okay, I'm not talking about recorded class, I'm talking about the live instructor-led training. Okay, but I am giving you guarantee that the content that I am going to deliver you it more than 10 time 10 time more than whatever you get the content in the market. That's for free. Okay, with the more use cases, both with more integration, with more the real kind of setup we will do. Okay, plus even though I've seen lots of places, some of the commands, some of the concept they deliver is not appropriate, is not correct internally, right? So because under the IIEC rise, right, our main focus would be to give you the right education. Okay, it's not right to education, it right education base it means, right? If you have the command, but you should know the right meaning of the command, how the command working, right? And does the things that you are doing right is actually accurate or not. Okay, so that's what I will do. Whatever commands I will share with you, I will explain you internally with some practical explanation also, to tell you that whatever we are learning educating is right. Okay, so this one hashtag also we are using, right education, and other multiple training also of an IIAC, right? So under the IIAC we have a reason, right? What is the reason why we are doing this kind of training free? Okay, so if you gone through my first introduction lecture, you I think you can sync with my thought why we are doing. Okay, so let's continue with the next part. So right now, guys, whatever command we learn, okay, almost all the commands whatever we learn till now is become old, or maybe in the future it become obsolete also. I'm not talking about the concepts that we learn, right? I'm talking about the commands that we use. It become the old, or maybe in the future it become removed, or it become obsolete, right? So it means whatever we do in the Docker in the from last few version, they have come with the new commands. Okay, so those new command you should know, and we have to use those command only from now onwards, right? So technically, if you talk about the container, for example, so what is container? Yeah, if you launch the OS, and the running OS is known as container. Okay, and for container, you know what we use? We use the run command for what? To install the OS, and after install, to run the OS. Okay, we use container stop command to stop the OS. We use start command to start the OS. We use you know, ps command to see all the OS that we running. Okay, and we use, for example, rm command to terminate the OS. So technically, the command that we use, docker run, docker stop, all the command, even though we have an independent command like docker run, docker stop, something like this. Let me show you a little bit faster again. Okay, so if you run the docker page, show you all the content running. If you do docker rm or stop to stop the docker. Okay, so technically these are separate commands. All these commands, all this command, technically command is docker, and inside the docker these are the different sub commands or commands are doing something for you, but all those command are only related to containers. Okay, so what docker guy has done, for example, we have one more command. Those command is only related to images. Okay, what is image? Image is the one through which we install the OS. Okay, so if you want to install the OS, we require the image. This is called OS image or docker image. So you want to see how many images you have, we have docker images command. Okay, and maybe you have a command to create your own image and do something else on also, if you have a commands to, you might also have a command to remove the image. For example, if you want to remove this image, we have command called rmi. Okay, for example, if you use docker rmi CentOS latest, for example. Okay, this command will install will remove this image, but they're not removing because this image is used by some other OS. So I can use forcefully option to remove it, so it's been removed. Okay, so my point is, guys, all the concepts on the docker has their multiple commands, what they are doing. For example, if you want to see all the images that you have, okay, the image is separate concept, container is separate concept. Container is your running OS, image is the your bootable image through which you launch the OS. So if you want to see the image, you have the images command. If you want to see if you want to remove the image, then you have rmi command. Okay, so almost every concepts of the docker, it will be container, it will be images, in the future networking come up, security come up. Every concept has their own own commands. So what the docker guy has done, right, because they have lots of command. Okay, what they done, they grouped all the command and say now from onward, if any command that is related to container, then you have to give container as a sub command. Okay, and inside the container you can tell what you want to do. What I mean by this, let me show you. So if you want to see the all the command that you have right now, you can use docker hyphen help. It show you all the command that is exist right now in the docker world. Okay, when you run this command, it show you that in this docker has a command called stop, docker has a command called start, docker has a command called rmi to remove images, to remove container rm. So either you use this command, these are the old command, it is working fine, no issues, but it is old command. Okay, these are the commands. But what these guys say, because if you see guys here, the command is very mixed, right? Rm is a command for container, container is a different concept, right? RMI is a different command. It's listed here only, but it's for different concept called images. So what these guy has done, they created new command, new group of command, right? These group of command, they say management commands. and say now from onward whatever you want to do for container, we have the container command. Whatever you want to do for images, we have images command. Same like volume command, network command, swarm command. So everything you do in the Docker world, right? Every concept that you implement in Docker world, they have a separate category of the command, or that is known as management command. For example, for example, now if you want to launch, if you want to see how all the container running, instead you use ps command, it is old command. What can you do? Because it is related to container, you can use Docker container. You can use Docker container, then you can use ps. Output is same, okay, but it looks more clear that we are seeing the process or all the container that are running. Even though they make this command more simpler, instead of I use ps, they put the command ls. This makes more sense, right? They show me the list of all the container that we have, or show me the list of all the container that we have. It may be running or stops. Okay, so now it's instead you launch the container like a run command. What we can do, we can use container run, container run. Okay, now it looks so very clean. What I'm doing something for the container, nothing for the networking, nothing for the security, nothing for the images, only for container. And what I'm doing, I'm launching the new container with this image. And other all the options same with IoT, with the name, with for example OS2, something like this. Okay, so everything is same. Okay, all the options is approximate same, but we use container. That makes more sense, but we are doing something only for the container, not for the images. Okay, so this is for example, you want to stop this container. Again, either you can use Docker stop, or we can use because we are doing something for the container, so use container as a main or command, main option. Then what you want to do, stop. Which OS you want to stop? So the OS that we have started is called OS2. Stop this. So we have stop this particular part, so it will stop for you. You can see in a minute. Okay, so technically guys, you know what, so Docker guys has created a new set of command where they categorized all the command per concept basis or per usage basis. Okay, and those commands are known as management commands. So they are the new command, right? And these are the old command. Maybe in the future they will remove it, the old command. So they recommend and they prefer to use this command only. So whatever the things they will come in the future more for the container, they will give they will put these command options inside the container. So syntax is guys is this one. So syntax, if you see guys, is terminate. So syntax is this one. So Google Docs, I created one small doc. So this is a Google Drive. So this is a one doc I created. Here you can see the old command is Docker, then your command name like run, option like IT, and new command is Docker. Again your command name, again the options, but before the command you can give your management commands. Okay, you can use this command also. Okay, for example, your older command is Docker PS. Now new command is Docker container or Docker container ls. Older command is run. Now same, but instead we can put container here. So it looks very clean that we are doing something for the container, and what we are doing, either running or listing or removing. What can you do? For example, let me give one more example here. Okay, so either you can use Docker images. Okay, but because you're doing something for the sorry for the images, you can use Docker image. The image is a management command. So what you want to do, you want to list, you can use ls. That looks clean, right? I'm listing the images. Or you want to remove the image, you can do rmi. Which image you want to remove? For example, Ubuntu 1404. Okay, because this image is used by somebody, I can use force again to remove it. Okay, so it looks that we are doing something for the images. Okay, so I'll try to use I'll try to run both the command all and the new. I'm actually working from years in the Docker, so I'm very much comfortable with the old command, but I'll try to show you both the command new and old. Syntax wise, they look very similar, but you have to you have to use just this particular keyword of the management, right? And if you forgot it, just go to help docker docker hyphen hyphen help to see these are the old commands you have, and these are the new commands you have. So I show you docker containers, I show you docker images. We'll see some more thing as we go. And for example, we go for security, we'll see this. If you go for some kind of trust or volume, we can go for. So I'll show you some of the commands also in the future, right? So sorry, these are the main thing you have to do. For example, if you go for attach, you can go for docker container attach. That makes more sense. And if you want to see all the list inside the sorry, if you want to see all the options inside the images, so you can use image hyphen hyphen l. So it show you inside the images we have option called list ls, we have option called rm to remove, and other also options we'll discuss. Similarly, you want to see all the commands available inside the container. You can go for sorry guys, hyphen of help. Okay, so technically you should know the concept, you don't have to remember the commands, just go for help. So inside the container we have some called stop, we have some called remove, run, restart, ls, all those things we can go inside the container options. And from here you can also see the syntax also, docker then container, and whatever commands you have you can use. Okay, so this is one thing. Let me show you guys some more practical. So I prefer to use the new command. So what I'm doing right now, so right now I have none of the container running. Okay, instead you use this, you can use container list. Okay, and if you want to see all the content that is there, but in the stop state, you can use a to see all the content that we have. Okay, now guys, because we are keep on testing, so there will be lots of container we launched, we stopped, we launched, we stopped. Okay, to clean it, we can remove it, right? So how to remove, for example, if you want to remove this, so either you can use the name or you can use the id. How to remove the os, you can use rm command, so your os is removed. But if you have a requirement, you want to remove all the os, okay, so it will be very harder. If you want to remove the os one by one, just go again, get the id, then remove, go again, get the id and remove again. So we instead we do this, what can we do, right, to make it faster? Either create a loop, for loop, something like this, they keep on fetching the id and remove, fetching the id and remove, it will be faster. Or sorry, without creating the loop also, I have one small trick for you to tell you. Without creating the loop, we can use some trick of your command line of linux to do the things. What is that trick? Let me explain you first. So what is my intention is to remove all the container that we started and stopped, to clean the environment, so we can do our practical very cleanly, right? So how we can do this, right? For this, I have one small trick for you. The trick is, guys, if you know the date command, it show you the current date and time. You might know the echo command, it will print the string whatever you have. But if you print date from the echo, so echo always feel that this date is a string, they will print as a string. But to tell your echo that this date is a command, first you have to run this command, then what output of this command print it. So for this, you have to write this command between the dollar and the bracket or parenthesis. So what happened, guys, in this concept here, echo first treat date as a command, they first run the command, what output they have, they will print it. So technically in the command line, if you want to run any command, all right, and like echo, but in the front you also give other command, right? But you want, before they run this command, they first run this command, and whatever output they have, they'll use it. Then you can use dollar this symbol. It is not piping. Piping is a way from one command output we can give to other command. It is not piping. I'm just giving the output of this command as an argument for this command. Okay, this one very basic concept of Linux, right? You guys might know. So what I'm doing right now here is, so in the Docker container list have an A, it show you all the containers that is in running or the stop state. And here also we have one more option here as a sub option called have an Q. What Q will give, it give you the only the ID of the Docker container. And what you want, if you want to terminate all the ID, either you put in the for loop, or what can you do, right? You can run this command inside this syntax. So what happened, guys? This first what they do, they run the command and by running the command they give the ID, and all the IDs you can pass to docker rm command. That's all. So what happened, guys? Docker rm command need a ID. Okay, and where they get the ID? From this command. Okay, so this command run, they get all the ID, they keep on passing ID to rm command. Rm command is keep on removing first one, second one, third one till the last. But this command also give you docker list command also give you the running container, and rm command doesn't stop the running container timer, the running container. You can use pass f means forcefully. If some of the container is running, they forcefully remove it. Okay, and because we are using the newer command, in the newer command rm is a part of container, so we can use the container term here. So what happened, guys? In one click, all the container that is running or the stop date terminates. Okay, and guys, this command is very much it's critical or sensitive, right? Don't run this command in the real company production world, right? Otherwise all the content that you're running is removed, and it's something is harder to roll back also. So don't run this command, otherwise your complete environment goes, right? But here I'm doing to tell you now everything has been cleaned, and they are not removing the images. Okay, images there, right? They are removing the running OS, that's called container. So you can use this kind of tricks, right, without creating the loop, this kind of command line syntax of a Linux to do your things, right? So this is one thing. So let me go for next practical. Let me show you something. Okay, right now, guys, I have one images. Either you can use this command or you can use management command, same thing. Okay, now let me launch a new OS with some name, for example OS 1 from CentOS version 7 that I have. Either you can use this command or container, same thing, right? Same thing. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain you, uh, again, one more interesting tip I would like to share with you guys. Okay, the tip is, for example, if you run this container, you are inside this container. Okay, and now because you are inside this container, okay, and guys, normally you know what happened. Normally right now I am using the GUI of Red Hat, and normally in the GUI we can open multiple terminal, right? And every terminal we can launch different container. But sometime in the real world we do remote login via SSH, or you only have one CLI where you have only one terminal. Okay, and then one terminal, if you want to launch multiple containers, so what happens, guys? When you launch one container, you come inside this container. Okay, and if you want to launch other container, again you have to go back to your Red Hat, and if you want to go back, we have option called exit. But if you do the exit, what happened? The OS that I start, it stopped. So what I want, guys, I want to launch the container. After launch, I'll be inside or log in inside this one container. But what I want, right, I want to come out from this container without exit. Okay, because if you do the exit, it stops. And if you store all the program that we run inside it, it will stop also. So for this, what can you do? For example, let me launch one more OS. Okay, what I want, I'm in, and what I want, I would like to go out from this OS. If you do exit, you can go out, but it stops also. So without uh, exiting your operating system, if you want to go out, then we have one fantastic shortcut over here that's called control PQ. That's all. Okay, see guys, you are out, you are in your base Red Hat system, and you come out, and your OS also keep on running, it won't stops. Okay, so there's one beautiful shortcut that you can use. The shortcut is, right, if you want to come out come out from the running container that is there, that is attached to your base Red Hat terminal. Okay, so if you want to detach from this OS, then we have option called control plus P plus Q. You have to press all these three key together, and you have to press your left control key if you're using Oracle VirtualBox. Left control key plus P plus Q if you want to detach from the terminal. Okay, so your OS is running, but if you want to go again inside, again you can use attach your OS to inside. If you want to come back again, control PQ, you come back. So if you want to go in, attach, it will attach. It means you log in or attach to your your container terminal. Come out, control PQ. So this is the some shortcuts you can use, right? So this is one thing. So let me show you some more thing. Right now I have running with this OS. Let me launch one more OS. Okay, but guys, understand one thing. One beautiful thing I would like to explain you about the Docker, and lots of use case normally we solve with this part, right? So please try to focus the concept that I'm talking about, right? For example, why you want, guys, please understand this use case is very interesting or very important also. Okay, why you want operating system, you guys know, because we would like to run a program. Okay, now till uh, what times, what is the duration you want this OS to be run. Okay, means for example, this is your OS called Windows. If you see my screen, okay, why I launched this window, because I would like to download something, but after download the file, do I require this Windows right now? Because I don't require, so I can shut it down. Or your requirement would be, why I require this Windows, because I have some Python code, I have to run those code. But after my code run, does I require this OS? Maybe not. Or maybe why I require this OS, or why I install this OS, because I would like to use Firefox, and after Firefox I will like to do some browsing, and after browsing I will close the Firefox. But after closing the Firefox, I don't require this OS. So my point is, guys, here is the life of this OS is depend upon what kind of program you want to run it inside this. Okay, so my point over here is, my point is pretty simple. If you have a requirement, if you want to download something, okay guys, if you want to download something, you can't download by yourself. Obviously you have to run some program is the one that will download for you. Okay, now if you want to download something, you have to use a program. Okay, but for running the program, you require the OS. So technically, if we have this kind of use case where you want to download something, and for downloading you run a program, for program you want a OS. So for this, maybe you don't have the OS. First, what you do, you just go and install the OS. Okay, this first thing you'll do. After install the OS, you boot the OS. After boot the OS, you run this program whatever looking for, either downloading, running some music player, maybe some browser, maybe running some Python code, Java code, testing, whatever you feel like. And after a program done completely, run completely, then what you do, you shut down the OS. Shut down. Or maybe you don't want to run this program again, you can terminate the OS, because there's no need of this OS. So technically, guys, you know what, in this complete process, okay, where I am installing the OS, I am booting the OS, I am running my requirement, what I want, then I shut down the OS, and then I terminate the OS. In this complete process, the most critical thing for you is this program, what you want. to do. From running the code to building the code to compile the code to running the website is depend. But for doing this, you have to take some extra step for installing, for booting, for exiting, or for terminating. Okay, so technically, guys, here the role of Docker come in play. Docker give you a very fast, all right, way to install the OS and boot the OS just in 1 second. Docker is a way who's giving you a very fast way to shut down the OS and terminate the OS maybe with a less than 1 second. Okay, but because Docker is giving the OS, now it is your choice how far you want to run your program. Maybe you're downloading take 1 hour, you want to run the program 1 hour. You're running the Python code, you're running the code will take 2 minutes, maybe your program want 2 minutes. So what I want Docker give me a scenario where I would like to run a program, and that program require the OS. So my Docker first install the OS, run my program until the program run. My OS is keep on running, and as soon as my program stops, my OS automatically stops or terminated also. Okay. So what you know what normally when you talk about this Windows, the life of Windows is till I would like to use some program. After I don't want to use the program, I can terminate this Windows. Is it won't hamper me, right? Similarly, right, what you want, the life of this OS is the life of this program. Okay, if you think your program run within a second, after a second you stop the OS. Why we require this OS? If you think your program will run for 2 days, so keep on running this OS for 2 days, and after 2 days shut down this OS, or maybe if you want to terminate this OS also. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you guys here is, okay, so if you have a requirement where you want one OS launch, okay, what if for example CentOS version 7, they launch. After they launch, okay, you will get a terminal with interactive. Okay, and after the launch they boot. After the boot, they run your program. And after this program complete, my OS shutdown. Everything will happen in one go. Okay, for example, let me give this OS a name, for example Z1. Okay, so what can you do, right? This command, you guys know what happened, guys. This command will launch the OS for you. Inside the OS you run some program, and after run the program you stop it. But you don't want to do yourself, just first go inside the OS, then run the program and then exit. What can you do? You can give your program name here. That's my point is here. Okay, so you know what this command will do? This command is so beautiful, right? It first launch the operating system, install, then the boot, and inside this OS they run this program, whatever program you guys give. After this program run, maybe 1 second, but depend upon the program life. Maybe some program run in 1 second, some program is keep on running forever. After the program completed, this OS automatically stops. Let me go give very simple example, command called date, for example. Again, date is a program. You can use any program. Maybe date to testing to building to Jenkins to Spark, Cloud, whatever you guys know, machine learning. For example, if a requirement, you want to build a machine learning model, you want to train your machine, you have some data set, you can give your skitlearn and TensorFlow, Keras, whatever you guys know. Okay, and give the program there. So what they do, they launch this OS, and inside this OS they do machine learning model. Okay, after model create, your OS terminates. That's all. So what a program you have, you can give here. But just let me give the command called date here. So what happened, guys? So interesting command. So you think, guys, as soon as I hit enter, they launch new OS, boot the OS, run the date command inside this OS, and this OS then stops. Right, everything in within a second. You see, guys, 1 second done. That's all. It's so quick, right? And so one thing, guys, this command is not run in my system. This is my system time. milestone time, my ready time. If you see time difference, right? Because this command run inside this OS. And if you really want to verify, you can run the docker command ps-a. You can see they launch new OS. Inside this OS, they run the command date or program date, and finally the exit. Okay, so this is a very interesting command, very simple but very interesting command. We use this command a lot. Okay, but understand one thing: this date command is not belongs to my Red Hat. This command is a part of my this OS. It means if I run a command called ifconfig. Okay, let me give my different OS name. What happened, guys? it failed. It failed with no response. Some kind of path executive error. Why? Because I show you already the image that I'm using CentOS doesn't has ifconfig command pre-installed. That's the reason this failed. So whatever command you run, whatever command you have, you whatever command you are running in this OS, that OS should have those commands. Otherwise, it failed. Okay. Most of the time, whatever command I am looking for, this command is not part of this image. Okay, and this is scenario, guys, where you have to create your own image. Again, I'm repeating. For example, if you have requirement to do some machine learning coding, create a model. If you requirement to do some data analytics on, like, maybe on R, or maybe in SAS, or maybe in Spark or Hadoop or Tableau or whatever you guys know, maybe some log analysis from Splunk, maybe some cloud thing. So whatever commands you guys require, okay, it is not there in this image or in this OS. Okay, so it means the OS that I'm launching here is Z2. This OS is launching from the image called CentOS 7. Okay, so what my requirement is, I am looking for some command or some program, right, that is created by me, or we need it. Normally it's not there in this image, and that is the reason, guys, we have to use a concept called create your own image. Okay, so I believe, guys, you got the idea, but for me it is very interesting. It's very much interesting, right? You just launch, it's something like, it is something like this. Even though if you have a requirement to run the date command, right, just 1 second, your new OS launch, run the date command, and that's all. Shut down the OS just in 1 second, everything go off. Even though you also use this way also. Okay, run the OS, for example, Z3. Okay, you launch the OS. If you see, guys, this particular pipeline, so it it install the OS, it boot the OS, it run your program, if for example date command. After the command complete, it shut down the OS and it terminate the OS. So shut down I show you, but if you also don't want to use again, you can terminate also, right? So for this, you can use a command called -rm. Okay, so what happened, let me show you. It's so beautiful. Beauty is new OS launch, boot. Inside this OS, they run the command date, then the OS shut down, and finally OS terminates. So if you go to Docker PS, you won't see any Z3 because they terminate. Because we don't require this. Because my requirement is to just run the date command, or my requirement is to do some machine learning model, or my requirement is to do some kind of analytics, or maybe some testing, compiling, building, whatever field you guys in. You can put your command here. Or want to download something and do it. But only requirement is, whatever command or program you use, it should be there in this OS. And what command it come in this OS, it depend upon your image. If image doesn't has that command, your OS won't have that command. Okay, that is the main thing. So for example, I would like to download one image. Okay, or I would like to download some software. Okay, or I would like to download some files. You can use a command called wget, and then give some URL from where you want to download. Okay, now if I run this, it failed. They say wget command it not executable, is not exist. Means inside this OS we don't have wget command. Okay, or maybe if you want to do some kind of testing, you want to use Selenium, or you want to use Maven, whatever field you have, right? If you don't have this command, you can't do anything. Okay, so technically the image that you have from which we create the image, right? You should have those program available. Then you can do this kind of interesting stuff over here. Okay, and for this, normally the image that you have, you don't have those program available. In that case, you have to create your own image. Okay, so next guys, I'm going to take you one interesting topic right now, how to create your own image. Okay, but I believe this is very interesting, right? Even though if you guys ever worked in any CI/CD tool like Jenkins something, right? These kind of concept we use a lot there. These kind of concept. Okay, so in Jenkins we create a pipeline, or maybe we create a job. When the job run, we launch the OS. Inside the OS, we do something. After we do something, again remove the OS. So those kind of things we use a lot. Okay, so this is not Jenkins class, but I'm just trying to give you a high level idea of vocabulary, whatever we have, right? So let me show you, but I think you guys got the idea why you have to create your own image. Okay, so that topic is, guys, how to create your own images of the Docker. And what is image? You guys know, if you go to Docker hub.docker.com. Okay, for example, here we search for image called CentOS. So these are the images, right? Is created by official community by CentOS. Okay, so these guys images they have created. Okay, but these images doesn't has a program that we are needing, right? so I'm going to create image something like this, or whatever image you see here. We are using CentOS 7, but if you want to create your own image, how we can create? And because we are going to create our own image, so inside the image, whatever you want to put, you can put it. Whatever program you want to put, you can put it, right? And again, image, if you guys again not able to sync, image is like a bootable DVD. You can think, if you have the image, or if you have a DVD, you can install multiple operating system, multiple OS you can install, and this OS here, it is known as container. So always think image is like a bootable DVD or like a ISO file. And if you install the OS, you require that bootable DVD, you require that image, and you can launch multiple OS from that image. So especially those guys who are new in the Docker, even though this training is I have started in the same way, that if you are new, you can learn everything. But normally, if you are new, it's sometimes in initial classes, sometimes it's harder to sync to difference between images in the container. But don't worry, guys, as you keep on using this vocabulary, you would be very much comfortable in some time. Okay, so right now the topic is how to create your own image. Okay, and technically there's two way to create your own personal customized image. One using a concept called commit, and one using a concept called Docker file. How to create the image from Docker file? I'll take this topic tomorrow, and this is right. Actually, this is the main topic for creating the image. Okay, little bit advanced. We'll also pick and Docker file. But today I'm just showing you the very simplest way to create your own image using a concept called commit. So let me show you how you can create your own personal image. Okay, so for this, what I'm doing, so I already has one image, this called CentOS. Okay, CentOS. So what I'm doing, from the CentOS, I'm going to launch a new OS. I'm just going to give some name, for example, my OS 1. Okay, and I'm launching this OS from this image. Okay, so now this is your new OS, name my OS 1. So let me keep on writing also here what I am doing. so you guys can sync with it. Okay, so technically we have downloaded from the hub, this called Docker registry, one image called CentOS 7. How we download it? We use Docker pull command. And what is this CentOS 7? It is a image I have. From this image, I launch one OS, technically known as container. Name was my OS 1. But what inside this OS? Some program. Which program we have in this OS? Only those program that is available in this image. For example, in this OS we have a date program, we have the cal program, but we don't have ifconfig program because the guy who created this image doesn't install ifconfig software. But if you want ifconfig software in this OS, so you have to install your own software, right? How to install? You guys know the command yum install, and software name, guys, we already find today was nettools. So what I am doing, so inside this OS, right, inside this OS I install some new software here, some new software, new program I installed. Okay, on on the top of this OS, and because this OS is CentOS or Red Hat, I use yum command to install it. Or you can create your own program, that's your choice. If you know the Python, Java, you can create your program, that's your choice. Either you can create your own or install, that is your choice. So we are doing this part. Okay, now what happened, guys? uh, what you want to do inside this OS? Okay, you want to run machine learning, coding, analytics, you want to download something, right? Whatever you want to do, either create your program inside this OS or install this program, use yum or some other kind of utilities. That's what you are doing. So technically what happened, right? After you know what happened, technically if you talk about this OS having my OS 1, so finally what you have all the command that is come from this image plus all the new things that you have installed or created. Okay, so let me install this command again. So now in this OS I have ifconfig command. So ifconfig commands were not there, we have created or we have installed. Okay, so now technically if you talk about if you talk about this OS, so in this OS we have all the command that is already there, that's come from this image, plus some more new command come up that we have installed, like ifconfig command. Let me install one more command here. So we need one more command, for example wget. Wget is a command, guys, is that is used to download some software. It is not there, so I can install wget command with the wget software. So this is a command that we can get from a software called wget. So if you want to download something from some URL, you can use wget command in Linux to download. Okay. Now this command also come up. Command is there, right? So technically, you know what happened. Okay. Now the final scenario is you have this OS, all the commands that's come from this image, plus some command we install, like we install ifconfig command, we install wget command, or whatever command you want to install, you install it. So now this OS is this one, right? This is OS is big one, right? This OS lots of command. This OS has command like date, some command for cal that already have. Now some more new command come up like ifconfig, wget, all those commands also come up. Okay, but now what you want? Okay, if you want to use this OS, you can use as it is. But if you want to create a same OS multiple times, okay, for example, you have a requirement, whatever you have done till now, even though we have done very small things, just install two software, but technically it might possible that you already have one OS from CentOS. Then on the top of this, you install databases, you install web server, you install lots of tuning, lot of security implement, tons of things you do. It takes maybe 7 days or 1 week or 1 month. right? After you do all the things, you tested everything, it is working fine, it become your full-fledged OS ready to use. When somebody asks you to create the same OS 100 times or 200 times, okay, again you install, launch the OS 7, again you again do the same thing, it takes a lot of time. So instead you do those things again and again. What can you do, right? Whatever you created till now, this complete was from here to here, you can create a copy. You can create a copy. Technically this copy is known as clone. You can create a clone. And whenever you create a clone of any OS, technically here the container, this clone and copy here become your own customized image. Technically they create an image of this. Okay, so let me show you. This is the OS I have. So what I am doing, okay, let me open new terminal. This is my base system. This is the OS is running right now, my OS 1, and these are the images I have. Whatever we have in OS 1, whatever we have, you can see here. These are the things we have from here till here. If you clone this OS 1, how to clone? This command called Docker. What I want, whatever we have in OS 1, copy it, clone it in a new location, right? And you can give any name, for example, my new. Okay, and for copying or cloning we have option called commit. So commit is option here through which whatever right now we have in my OS 1, okay, they copy in this part. And guys, you know what, this part will become your new image. So whatever you clone or a copy, technically here it is known as commit. So whenever you commit something, it is like a copy or a clone. It means whatever data we have from here to here, it is saved in this box, and this box become a new image. And because this is a new image, you can give an image any name. For example, my image. And normally in the image you always give the version, so you can give like v1, any version you can give. Either you say the version or the tag. That's why it's so simple, right? And finally, if you run the images command, what you see, you have your own created image with this v1 version or tags been created. But you know what this image contain? This is CentOS image. This is not created by us. We have downloaded from somewhere. But this image is we have created 5 seconds ago. This image is created by us. And what this image contain? Okay, let me share this command first. What this image contain? This image contain all the command that we already have from CentOS, plus some of the command that we change or we created. Everything we have inside this image. And you know guys, what is image? It is like a bootable DVD. Now if you have the image with you, now from this image you can launch as much OS you want in 1 second. Because for launching the OS or technical container, what you require the image. Okay, now you have the image. Okay, now if somebody asks you to launch some new OS, I can use the same command, docker run it for my image v1. So from last few example, I was using Ubuntu or CentOS. The image that is not created by me, we have downloaded somewhere, but this image is we have created. And how we created? We customize it. We put some our own commands. Okay, I launch it. That's your new OS launch. Okay, now in this new OS, you already have all the older command, but you also have a new command that is created by you or you installed. I have config working, wget is working, everything is working for you. Okay, so technically guys, if you want to create a new image, it's so simple. We can use a commit command. This is the one of the way. That's why I'm talking about there's two way to create the image. One, using the commit. Okay, and what is use case of creating the image? The use case of creating the image is in one OS that you get from somewhere, and on the top you change lots of things, and somebody asks you to do the same changes things hundreds of times. So either you do 100 times, do only once, then clone it. That's called commit. It become a new image. As soon as the new image come up, a new image created. From this image you can launch as much OS you want. Just run the docker run command or put the docker run command in the loop, and one go, hundreds and thousands of OS they launched. Okay, this is one use case. And second use case is because now the image that I had CentOS version 7, this OS doesn't has the ifconfig program. Okay, but if I go for my OS that we have created, this we have put ifconfig command. So what happened, this command I will already show you. They launch the new OS, they boot it, they run the ifconfig inside. Why they run? Because this program is there inside. Then they terminate. Then terminate. If you want to terminate, I can use rm command. Okay, see here, they launch the OS, boot the OS, they run the ifconfig command, then they stop and they terminate. So quick, right? But the only condition is that OS, whatever you're launching, should have this command. If they don't have this command, it won't work. So normally the command or the program that I'm looking for the maybe machine learning or for anything, they don't have those program. So for that is the purpose you have to create your own image. That is the main thing. Now, for example, if you have a requirement where you would like to download something, okay, so for this you want to launch a new OS. Okay, you want to launch a new OS. For example, you can, if you want, you can give the name. You can use D1 name. So you want to launch a new OS from this, then boot it, and for downloading you can use wget command. Okay, but wget command should be there inside this image that we already put, because we have, this is the image we have created, we already put. And in this image we have put, and then after we put this image run, this command run, and maybe download take 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, 5 seconds. Till the time it downloaded, they keep on running, and after download complete, this OS shut down and they terminate also. So let me show you, maybe let me find some software from the internet where I'll try to show you this practical. So it's very interesting. You know what, you are for example, let's download docker rpm download. So what I'm doing, I'm just getting some software from the net so that I can show you how it is working. So let me pick any software, any file, any image, whatever we have, video. I just copy. So this is one path we have. Okay, this is the path we have. And if you want to download a software, you can use wget command. So right now, guys, this is my Red Hat system, right? I'm just trying to show you that it is working fine. So from this URL, I'm downloading something. But for downloading, you require 2 or 3 things. First, you require wget command. Second, you require the path from where you want to download some software, file, images, video. And third, you require internet connectivity. And the last thing you require is your OS. So right now I have my base Red Hat, wget command, URL, internet, everything is there. That is then I can able to download. But if you want a software to download, okay, and for that purpose you want to launch the OS. For example, this is downloaded, right? The software has been downloaded. Let me show you. Okay, so let me again remove this software. So what I'm trying to tell you guys here is right now, this is my Docker. Okay, just for downloading, I have launching a new OS from this image, and in this image I'm going to run a wget command and ask wget command to download from here, this path. So, but understand one thing, for running a command you want a OS, so this OS will launch from this image. And now in this OS we run this command. This OS command will run download from here. And maybe guys, this command will run for 1 second, 2 minutes, or 10 minutes. After this command done, completed, okay, then we'll remove the OS, terminate the OS. Okay, so it means if you want to download, you require the OS. You want to download, you require the networking. So in the D1, Docker will launch this OS. They give the networking, everything they provide you is called environment they provide you. Okay, and then do the things. Okay, so they quick guys. Once again, your OS launch, OS boot, inside the OS, your command is running, and till the command guys command is running. If you run the Docker PS, let me run very quicker. Your OS is running. He's here. D1 is running, and they're running this command. But as soon as your download done, and now if you run the Docker PS command, you will see your D1 stops. Even though it's also, if you use Docker PS7A, it also terminated also. Okay, that's the beauty of this particular command. Okay, sorry. This one thing, and if you do ls, one more thing you notice here, they downloaded, but it is not visible here. It is not visible here because you know what happened. I downloaded this software where wk command, where inside this OS, and after I download, I remove the OS. So technically, after download, I remove the OS. There's a reason my software is not visible. Okay, so normally if you have this scenario where you want to download the OS, download the some files, so obviously you don't want to remove the OS. So in this case, you won't remove the OS. Okay, so I'm just I'm just what do you say, launching the new OS. Inside the OS, we will download the software because this command is running inside. Because this command is running inside. 1 minute. Let me change the name. Inside the D2. Inside the D2. Okay. So first D2 OS launch. Inside this OS wget command run, and because wget command run inside the D2, so your software also download inside the D2 OS because D2 is a separate OS. The software you can find there. And after the OS this download, it just stop it. So when I run docker ps a, what you see, they just stopped. But you want to see the software what you downloaded, again you can start this OS D2. After start, go inside this guy. How to go inside? Attach. No, again why they're doing, we'll discuss this part. This concept called CMD, something we'll discuss, right? Okay, and if you do ALS, right, actually they won't allowing me to go in because of some CMD concept of D2. 1 minute, I have to start with bash. So I just show you guys one command that in on the tomorrow Docker file, there's some concept called entry point or the CMD, where I'll show you this particular demo. So my intention was after I download, I would like to get the software. Okay, if you do this thing by manually, you can see it won't allow you to go in. So I'll show you. Even though I have one more way, let me have start, and if you want to go in, I'll discuss guys this thing. I don't want you to be confused, right, with this practical. So I'm in, and I can see the software. So what is this command, what I'm doing, don't worry, I will discuss tomorrow this concept, right, with when I explain you about about Docker file, right? So we'll discuss, right? So but I think my main intention guys was to explain you how to create your own image. The way I use is commit is good, but not the best one. You can't do lots of customization. Same thing we'll do tomorrow with the Docker file. There we have lots of customization we can do. Okay, but the biggest thing guys, I believe the very interesting use case I talk about is this one. Okay, normally we want a OS because we want to run a program, and I want my OS life to be only that much till my program completely run. So for the either you launch your OS in the virtual box or bare metal, what you can do, you can use this kind of process. Ask Docker, they will do from installation, boot, run the program, wait, then shut down the terminal. That's all right. But only thing is your OS that you launch from the Docker should have that program. That is simple, guys. If you launch the Windows, if you don't have the VLC player, you can't do anything. You'd install the VLC player for this, right? Similarly, in the Docker also, you have to install the commands, right? And this use case we use a lot in DevOps world, in Jenkins, in the other world also, right? This particular kind of use case. So I believe you guys have linked it properly, right? And maybe lots of things idea come in your mind, right? Where you can plan to use these kind of real practicals, right? Or if it doesn't come in your mind, doesn't matter, guys. You might be new, but I'll show you lots of practical to using this particular concept, right? So that's all, guys. For today, I highly suggest two or three things for you guys, right? I suggest this video is recording, and we'll share this link to you. If some part is missing, go to that part again, listen this one thing. But those guys who haven't gone through my introduction lecture of that I did last weekend, please go to the introduction lecture. Listen it. You also get some core concept of Docker there. Okay, initial concept, right? Please do this. Those guys who are new in Yum, okay, we'll always share in the your channel the link of my video. Please go through it, because Yum is the thing that we keep on using, and I'll show you in the next class tomorrow some of the configuration of Yum inside the Docker. Plus those guys who don't know about Apache web server, so tomorrow I'm going to configure a new OS called container. Inside the container we are going to set up our own web server, and they will do lots of interesting practical there. But for this, you should know how to configure Apache web server. So those guys who don't know how to configure Apache web server, so I have also shared some video link of mine where I explain you how to configure Apache web server. So Yum, Apache web server, Linux basic commands are not part of Docker training. It is a prerequisite for this training. But those guys who don't know, right, I don't want the confuse in the Docker training, because these are some concept I will use in this Docker training. So go through the link. Please try to listen today. So tomorrow when I do this practical, you will come to know. And last thing, guys, for today, just 1 2 more minutes, then we go for Q&A. So last thing for today is, guys, after the completion of this training is run go for total 4 days in totality, approximate 15 hours daily, 3 to 4 hours, depend upon your topic completion, right? It might go longer, depend upon your requirement, what the question you guys asked, but it's somewhere is go 15 hours in totality. Okay, after the completion of training, we will provide you a certificate that has a value in the market, the certificate of training that you have successfully done this training under IIEC community. And the level of training that we are doing in IISc, so in the market, they start getting the popularity. So if you are holding this certificate of training, that give you a weightage in your profile, in your resume. Okay, but we only give a certificate to those students, right, who done this training completed, who complete this training. And the way we do the attendance is very straightforward. I'm not giving a form where you just tick and do the attendance, right? The way we do the attendance is, for example, today lecture is somewhere 3 to 4 hours. Okay, you have to attend this lecture. I highly recommend attend live. But if you miss the attend this lecture live, you can use a recorded video to attend, right? But after you attend this lecture, go through each and every concept, try to implement this concept, do the hands-on, okay, and then create a summary, whatever you understood, whatever you have done. Okay, because if you learn, if you research, if you practice, and if you test, if you listen, then only you can create a summary. And all the things whatever you learn, for example, Docker commit or Docker run or Docker new management command, images, whatever you learn, right, every topic you have to write in the summary. Hey, this is the new command like container ps or container ls, or this is the use case of commit, and this is the way we can commit. Okay, so put those summary, all the topics that you have covered, right, in summary of 4 5 line or 10 lines maybe. Okay, and put those summary in the comment section of this YouTube video. Okay, and those comment will be your attendance. So finally, after the completion training, we'll go through the comments, and if we see your comment is not there, so we feel you are not attend, you haven't attended this training. And if you miss any other classes, we won't give you the training certificate, right? So that's your choice. And I believe this is the right way to do the attendance, and this is the right way to practice also, right? Because when you learn something, you when you try to summarize something, it means you will learn, you have gone through those things, right? And it's the best way to do internal insight of yours, or maybe self reflection, whatever you learn, right? So because you when you start typing, writing comment, a lot of things come in mind. Okay, we stuck in this part, something is missing, something we are not understanding. So lots of things help you in a lot of way, right? So this is the way we do the attendance. And for checking the attendance, my team has created one web crawler, right? And this is been able with some AI or NLP. Okay, so what it do, it will crawl you all the comments, and maybe if sometime it happens, some students copy paste the comments, right? So those guys who put the comment first, right, we pick the attendance. Second student who copy paste, all right, we remove that attendance, right? Because if you write something, everybody has their own way to write. Okay, so don't try to copy paste. My coroller will find the copy paste thing, even though if you little bit change in the thing, because the NLP coroller, it will find out. Okay, you have just tried to put something, so everybody has their own way to write the comment. So if you do copy paste, so or try to do some small changes, it will pick up, right? So to do this thing, so this is the way to attendance. And normally we open the attendance normally 24 hours. So today we have done this classes, so after 24 hours, maybe tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, we stop the attendance. So whatever you learn today, you have to complete today, put the summary today. Either you already gone through the video, if you get all the concepts, just take 5 or 10 more minutes, think and put in the comment. If you want more time, you want to revise something, do it, your choice. But after somewhere 24 hours, we keep on updating about the attendance when we are closing it, right? So before the close, you have to pick the attendance if you really want a certificate. Okay. And normal thing, one more thing, guys, we are having lots of initiative under IIEC Rise. Okay, we are running RSSA global training we are doing free, Python 3 we are doing free, Docker we are doing free. So for maybe we have some more advanced plans also in this community. But all those advanced things we have planned in our mind, we will only provide you those things only to those guys who are taking our initiative very serious. If you're not taking our initiative serious, you're not attentive in the class, so we won't provide you next some other trainings also, right? Because maybe right now we are doing this training the public channel, but maybe soon slowly we move to the private channel, so we won't provide you a link, right? So because I'm giving my time, you also giving your time, so I would like to give the value only for those candidates who are sync with my thinking, my vision of ISA rise of making India, right? For this you have to very serious. Don't think like it's a cost free, even though it is free, but the content that you are getting in this training, right, if you pay 10 times more fee on the normal market, right, you won't get those content, right? That's for sure. Okay, so this is one time, or because we won't do this training again, so you won't get it. Okay, so don't take me otherwise, but this is the fact, you have to very serious. So now guys, this is done for today. So before I conclude, if you have any queries, or if you have any queries, you can ask me. So again, I'm starting my my chat box. It is actually disabled for, so I started my chat box again. Okay. So now if you have any queries again, uh, You can start. Chat box pop up automatically. Otherwise, you can restart. How companies enterprise level maintain the application specific Docker images still on hub? No, normally they and Nagaranjan they maintain in their private registry. Okay, normally in the corporate they don't use the public one. So maybe in the upcoming class I explain you how to create your private registry, and I'll tell you how to put their images and manage there. Okay, does commit is exactly a snapshot? Yes, commit is something like a snapshot. Okay, so there's a little bit difference in the commit and the snapshot. I will discuss in the upcoming class, right? Yeah, but some whatever you do, in the VM you also clone, right? So the commit is something like this, but it's little bit like snapshot, right? We'll discuss about the versioning there. I explain you what is snapshot. What is daemon, Rohit? We will discuss in the upcoming class, maybe tomorrow. Okay, if there's a concept of daemonized or dockerized, we'll discuss there. The issue that is related to your Linux, I won't entertain in this training. So if any query, Subham, you have related to Docker, you can ask me here. Okay. So guys, if your YAM is showing the URL is not valid in Docker, it means you don't have internet connectivity. So just try to ping to Google from the Docker. Then again try with yum install, it will work. But if you don't have internet connectivity, it fail. So tomorrow I will have a way without also internet. I'll show you inside the Docker how to use yum. So I'll show you that part, but right now just check your internet connectivity. Yes, guys, open Docker is highly related to OpenShift, because OpenShift is a front end application, and internally in OpenShift they are doing everything in the Docker. So if you are have a plan to do something good in OpenShift, OpenShift is a great product, a huge market actually. So you should good in Docker. Without having the Docker knowledge, right, there is no use to do or learn OpenShift. How to install Docker in rel, like no best doesn't support in it. uh, okay, in Shivam, in rel 8 you don't have to use no best. Without the no best, if you install, it will install for you. Okay, in rel 8. So just go and try with the same URL, configure the URL and install it without the no best. Yes, Narayana, we have a Docker GUI. In the upcoming class, I'll show you some way to install Docker in Windows and Mac. There, normally we use the Docker web UI. Even the Linux also we have. So I'll show you. Even the web UI or GUI we use a lot. We don't use a lot, but we have some client application for web UI we can use. Yes, Siri Singh, whatever you can do in the backcode, same thing you can do dollar. It's little bit same, but in some of the cell or some of the feature backcode doesn't support, but dollar parenthesis it support. Or you can think backcode is a part of your current cell, and if you use anything in, in dollar parenthesis, it is launching a subcell. But technically high level the output of this both the things are same. Okay, why what hard disk space? Yes, Subham will discuss about the storage or hard disk maybe tomorrow in upcoming class, so I would like to give the answer that time. How two container connected? So right now guys, you launch two container, they have a connectivity. So if you try to ping from one container other, it will work if you go and check. But if you're asking me how they are connecting, so we have upcoming class of about networking of Docker, I will discuss in detail there. Okay. How to identify Docker container launch from which image? If you do Docker ps command, it show you. Okay, this container launch from which image. So in the Docker ps command, it show you a image name, which image they used. Can we use GUI app inside Docker image? Yes, we can. That's why my question also, how to install, I show you today. Firefox I used, but how to use, how to launch, we will discuss, right? This is a question I asked you. Is internet mandatory for Docker? No, Rakesh. Internet is not mandatory right now because the YAM is configured. It is uses internet behind the scene, but without internet also I can configure my own YAM. So internet is no at all need for the Docker. Okay. Yes, Rohit, we will discuss Docker architecture in very detail. I don't think so today is the right time, or maybe tomorrow. Let's have first feel something Docker. Let's discuss some of the use cases. Maybe tomorrow or in the next class, I will have in my plan to discuss detailed architecture of the Docker. We definitely learn the architecture of the Docker in detail. Okay, and that will give you actual insight how Docker are doing, how they are fast, all the things. Okay, so uh, Srijit, if you can put your answer, I don't know, have you put this answer to volunteer group? Put all the screenshot you have, ask them, they will help you. Or if possible, just share your screen with the team viewer with some of the volunteer. They will go and check. Okay, and if they're not able to do, please ask them. They will share your screenshot to me. I will definitely check those things, right? But try to get the help from the volunteer. That will do the things very faster. How to communicate happen with Docker? And yes, Siddharth, we have one small discussion of env also, environment also. So definitely we'll discuss in the upcoming class how to interact with environment. Okay, one more question we have here. Can we do machine learning with Docker? Yes, I highly suggest, all right, Ashutosh, to do the machine learning model creation or model tuning in deep learning, hyper parameter, all the things in Docker. Lots of great use case we can do and solve with Docker. Yes, we can do machine learning or deep learning inside Docker. um, how to know the detail of the command? I think I show you others today, help option, right? You can use the help option to see the detail of the command. Yes, we learn, guys, and yes, I told you we gonna learn the architecture soon in the upcoming class. Which one is the best Docker Podman? I said both has their own great use case. A lot of guys start thinking Podman is great. Maybe in the last few lecture, I will try to explain you the difference between Docker and the Podman. Okay, let's focus first the Docker, then we'll discuss. Yes, Harsh, if you want to know something about summer program or summer training, it is at that I normally take personally. I would be there for 45 days, and I take this training as is in a great level. Actually, cover all the biggest technology in the market, and I also try to show how to integrate those things. Okay, but I suggest, if you want to take the knowledge, what we do in the summer training or summer intensive, you can contact to Preeti ma'am or put in the group. There somebody will help you about those details. Does commit also clone MAC address and IP address to new image? No, no, it won't do it. It won't clone those things. It will, when you launch the OS, it will get those things from the DSCP kind of server. Again, I will take those top caution again to show you practically maybe in the tomorrow class. So that's all, guys. One more thing: what is industry need or demand in terms of use case or maintaining guest OS within a single Docker engine running on the same OS? And let me again, Nagaranjan, what you asking? What is industry need or demand to maintain different guest OS within single Docker engine? Is there is a need actually? uh, Different guest OS within single Docker. So technically, inside the Docker engine, we are not launching the different guest OS. Technically, it is known as container. Okay, but why we need this container? There's one great or lots of great use case we have. Right, one great use case if you have multi-tier kind of application. Okay, if you have microservices, so I'll in the upcoming class I'll show you those kind of scenario where in one application we have database running, where one application front and back end running, and everybody is connected. Okay, isolated. So this is one of the great use case. uh so when I show you this practical in the upcoming class, I think you can be linked why we want this, right? So today won't be the right time because a lot of guys might be new. I don't want they confused with this point. Okay, So that's all, guys. Yes, we can install GUI OS inside the Docker. It's support. Okay. So that's all, guys. I almost all the question I have. Whatever guys you asking, I've just answered to you. Just go through summary, put as attendance. If you miss any topic, go back in the same URL. Again, read the things. And thank you very much, guys. Again, see you tomorrow at the same time. Same time, morning 9 a.m. Tomorrow is Sunday, but we have the class. Yes, we can launch heavyweight application also inside Docker, but depend which application you're talking about. Some applications we don't suggest to do this, even though support, but we can do. Okay, does Docker is best for ELK? Absolutely, I really recommend. We can launch multiple Docker for log stress and Kibana and one Docker to have your dashboarding, all the things, and Elasticsearch for multiple Docker. Create a cluster of Elasticsearch and they would do the searching for you, engine for you. So ELK would be the great if you implement on the top of Docker. Okay. So great, guys. Thank you very much for joining. See you tomorrow morning, Sunday, 9 a.m. IST time, and see you guys. Bye. Take care. See you and good day. Take care. Good night and good day.